Chapter 565. When Qian Shou and Mu Yi saw Ning Fan chasing after them, they exchanged glances with each other and gritted their teeth. Then, they ran in different directions. They knew that they were not Ning Fan's match. If he catches up to them, they would certainly die. At this moment, the two of them could only bet on their luck to see who Ning Fan would chase after. Whoever he chases would die. The one who dies could only be said to have bad luck. Running in different directions, Ning Fan opened his sword pouch. 5 rays of sword light immediately flew out of the pouch and turned into 5 agile little sword spirits. Their opponents were absolute void stage cultivators. If they run in different directions, Ning Fan could only chase after one of them at most. He could not care less about the other one. You guys go after the winged one. I will go after the 8-armed one. He gave an indifferent order and immediately stepped on his ancient golden sword, chasing after Qian Shou. The 5 sword spirits pouted their lips. They were unwilling to be Ning Fan's hired thugs. However, the 5 of them had the life and death restriction on their bodies. They could not disobey Ning Fan's order at all. They snorted a few times in dissatisfaction and obediently turned into 5 rays of sword light, chasing after Mu Yi. Even though Mu Yi was not a sword cultivator, the strength of the 5 little girls was already very heaven-defying. Each of them was comparable to an absolute void stage cultivator. It would not be difficult for the 5 of them to chase after an absolute void stage cultivator. Qian Shou had already left his giant Dharma image and turned into an 8-armed old man. After separating from Mu Yi, he fled desperately. Sensing that the golden sword light was getting closer to him, Qian Shou was almost scared to death. Why? Why is this malefic star chasing after me instead of Mu Yi? On the other side, Mu Yi also left his giant Dharma image and turned into an old man with wings. When he noticed that Ning Fan was chasing after Qian Shou, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that he had escaped death. He did not expect that there would be 5 rays of sword light chasing after him instead of Ning Fan. When he turned around and saw the 5 rays of sword light, his expression immediately turned pale with fright. These are sword spirits. Sword spirits of immortal swords. Each of them is comparable to an absolute void stage cultivator. I'm actually being chased by 5 absolute void stage cultivators. Mu Yi was extremely shocked. He was affected by the attack of the steel of sun and moon and suffered serious injuries. If he fights the 5 absolute void sword spirits alone, he would certainly die. The 5 sword spirits were extremely fast. In just over 10 breaths, they had caught up to Mu Yi. Mu Yi gritted his teeth and stroked the thumb ring magic treasure between his fingers. It was a damaged small Kiliacosm Cosmos treasure that he had bought at an auction for 5 billion immortal jade. This minor Kiliacosm treasure was a damaged item. It could still be used once more to open a minor Kiliacosm. Once it was opened, the wooden wing would hide in the small Kiliacosm. The boundary treasure would be destroyed, and the exit would be closed forever. The wooden wing would never be able to leave this small Kiliacosm. At this moment, Wood Wing only had 2 choices. First, he fought with the 5 great void sword spirits and was killed by them. The second was to open a broken minor Kiliacosm and hide in it. Although they would never be able to leave, they would be able to avoid this calamity. Feeling the unstoppable momentum of the 5 sword spirits, Mu Yi gritted his teeth and steeled his heart to open the small Kiliacosm broken. Even if I'm trapped in this broken world for the rest of my life, it's still better than being killed by these 5 sword spirits. As long as I enter the small Kiliacosm, even void fragmentation realm cultivators won't be able to come in and kill me easily. Chi! A ray of light was emitted from the ring. Mu Yi shook his body and went into the broken world, vanishing on the spot. He ran away. Where did he go? The 3rd sword spirit, Shui, revealed a surprised expression. He hid in the space of the magic treasure. Humph. It's just a small kiliacosm. It's so weak. The second sword spirit, Mo's big eyes flashed with golden light. She seemed to have seen through the small kiliacosm and saw Mu Yi who was hiding inside. Hua Hua, open the sword door. Let's kill our way in and let him know how powerful our sisters are. The first sword spirit, Jingjing, ordered. Tong Tong, I'll set up the formation. You open the door. As soon as the fourth sword spirit, Hua Hua, finished speaking, she performed a hand seal and a huge sword diagram and sword formation appeared in the sky. Ow! Ow! All right. The fifth sword spirit, Tong Tong, nodded her head and stood on the sword diagram. With a shake of her body turned into an earthy yellow light door. Let's go in. The other four sword spirits entered the light door and directly appeared in the small kiliacosm, almost scaring Mu Yi to death. Mu Yi did not expect that the five sword spirits who were chasing after him were actually so powerful that they could directly enter the small kiliacosm of others. Even void fragmentation realm experts might not necessarily be able to do such a thing. Ah! A moment later, a miserable shriek reverberated in the small kiliacosm for a long time. It was Mu Yi's voice. On the other side, Ning Fan stepped on a golden sword light and caught up to Qian Shou in just 10 breaths' time. Qian Shou's face was filled with panic. He knew that it was difficult for him to escape anymore. Thus, he stopped moving and no longer tried to escape. He took a deep breath and turned his head to look at Ning Fan. Ning Fan also stopped moving and looked at Qian Shou calmly. If you don't kill me, I'm willing to give you my entire life's fortune. Qian Shou untied the storage pouch on his waist and begged for mercy. If you die, all your belongings will naturally be mine. Ning Fan said mercilessly. Don't force me. If you force me again, I will risk my life and perish together with you. Liu Bei, don't go too far. Qian Shou's expression turned ferocious. Ning Fan, however, did not say anything else. He directly raised his hand and took out the steel of sun and moon, striking it at Qian Shou. First spirit steel technique, sun sinking moon falling. The shadow of the steel split into 10 and then into 100. In an instant, it turned into 50 gigantic suns and cold moons that fell from the sky like a meteor shower. Qian Shou looked at the countless suns and moons falling from above his head. He knew that he would not be able to escape death. He stared at Ning Fan with resentment. His eyes gradually turned crazy. You forced me to do this. Qian Shou's 8 arms performed hand seals at the same time. His body gave off monstrous wood elemental magic power. His aura force became stronger and stronger, rising all the way from the Great Void Realm to the returning origin Great Void Realm. However, his body became drier and drier. His flesh and blood were disappearing at a rapid speed. It was extremely strange. He was using his life to cast the last magic technique. He wanted to perish together with Ning Fan with this magic technique. The dark green leaves in front of him flew in all directions and gradually condensed into a gigantic wooden statue of 1,000 hands Arhat. Each of the 1,000 arms of the 1,000 hands Arhat was holding a 1-star immemorial divine weapon. He chanted the name of Buddha. His body shone with golden light and countless Sanskrit chants echoed in the surroundings. As the 1,000 hands Arhat art changed, the 1,000 hands Arhat immediately threw out 1,000 immemorial divine weapons towards the steel of sun and moon. 1,000 hands Arhat art. Qian Shou revealed a frenzied expression. This was his strongest technique. Once he uses this technique, he would certainly die. However, the destructive power of this technique was comparable to a void fragmentation realm attack. Even the returning origin Great Void Realm would certainly be injured if not killed by this attack. Rumble. 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 100 gigantic suns and moons collided with 1,000 immemorial divine weapons. Destructive energy waves swept across the area. The surrounding area of several 100,000 li was filled with a sea of towering ancient trees. As the energy waves spread out, all the ancient trees turned into ashes and disappeared. Countless rifts appeared on the ground and lava flowed everywhere. The space in the sky shattered, revealing the dark and gloomy hollow space below. The shadows of the divine weapons shattered one after another while the gigantic suns and moons exploded. Ning Fan quietly stared at the collision of magic treasures. Gradually, all of the opponent's immemorial divine weapons were destroyed. However, there were still a few dozens of suns and moons that were created by the steel of sun and moon. All of them continued to fly towards Qian Shou, who was on the verge of death. This time, Ning Fan was the winner of the collision of magic treasures. Qian Shou raised his head reluctantly and stared at the gigantic suns and moons that were falling towards his head. He did not use any magic power to escape. He had already used his strongest secret technique. He would certainly die. His biggest regret was that he did not drag Ning Fan to death with him. What he regretted the most was why he chased after Ning Fan and got himself killed. Liu Bei. It's too early for you to be pleased with yourself. The four of us are not the only ones who are chasing after you in the Northern Tree Ocean. There are 9 other experts. Among them, 3 of them are Void Fragmentation Realm experts while the other 6 are Primordial Great Void Stage experts. If you run into their hands, you will certainly die. Rumble, Qian Shou's fearful roar was drowned by the attacks of the suns and moons. He could no longer hear it clearly. The magic energy waves gradually dispersed. Their surroundings were filled with ruins and desolate hills that were tens of thousands of meters tall. Ning Fan raised his hand and kept the steel of sun and moon into his profound Yin world. Then, he took away Qian Shou's broken storage pouch from the ruins and accurately located his half-dead primordial spirit. Then, he performed a soul-searching technique on it. After that, he swallowed his broken primordial spirit into his stomach. His eyes were filled with baleful qi that could not be erased. His body was also emitting intense baleful qi. Since he had killed 3 great void stage cultivators in a row, the sins he had committed were naturally extremely heavy. As for the 4th great void stage cultivator, he probably wouldn't be able to survive either. It wouldn't take long for the 5 little sword spirits to return. He stepped on the ancient sword and returned along the path he came from. His eyes briefly scanned the storage pouches of the 3 great void stage cultivators and his eyes revealed a look of realization. It was no wonder that the Vine Sovereign subordinates could still find me even though I was hiding in such a secluded mountain. From Qian Shou's memory, he learned that each of the great void stage cultivators who came after him this time had a copper mirror magic treasure. The grade of this magic treasure was not high, but it had a special function. Among the subordinates of the Vine Sovereign in the Western Tree Ocean, those who had a certain status would be rewarded with a vine seed by the Vine Sovereign. Once this vine seed is planted in one's body, it would be very difficult to erase it. The Vine Sovereign could always know the location of her subordinates. If a cultivator with a vine seed is killed, the vine seed in his body would be transferred to the killer's body. From then on, the Vine Sovereign and her subordinates would be able to find out his whereabouts easily. Ning Fan looked inside his body and carefully searched through his body. After searching for a while, he really found dozens of vine seeds in his body. This was the reason why his whereabouts were discovered. The so-called vine seeds were the magic power seeds that the Vine Sovereign condensed. They were extremely tiny. The dozens of vine seeds combined were not even as big as a speck of dust. These vine seeds are so tiny. Even if I don't pay attention to them, it would be hard for me to notice the existence of vine seeds in my body. If I want to kill the Vine Sovereign in the future, I will have to get rid of the vine seeds in my body. Ning Fan activated his black flames and burned away all the vine seeds. In this way, it would be difficult for the Vine Sovereign subordinates to find his whereabouts. In the distance, 5 sword spirits were carrying a heavy storage pouch and slowly flying towards Ning Fan. Even though they had completed the task that Ning Fan gave them, they were still a little unwilling to be ordered around by him. Each of them raised their small faces angrily as if being Ning Fan's sword spirits was a very depressing thing. Humph! That detestable little Fan. Sisters, you have already completed your task gloriously. Can you take a rest now? Ning Fan could not help but laugh when he heard their words. In the past, when Lu Yu took in these sword spirits, he was called Little Foolish by them. Now that it was his turn, he became Little Fan, so be it. Ning Fan was too lazy to argue with these 5 little girls over such a trivial matter. He took away Mu Yi's storage pouch and kept the 5 sword spirits into his sword pouch. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out the jade slip that contained the map of the Northern Tree Sea. After scanning it with his spirit sense, he fell into silence. After a while, he kept the jade slip and stepped on the ancient golden sword, flying towards the southeast. He did not want to stay in the Northern Tree Sea for a long time. It was better for him to go to the Eastern Tree Sea to search for the tree god fruits and the materials to repair his spiritual puppets. Now that he had destroyed all the vine seeds in his body, it would be difficult for the vine sovereign's subordinates to find him in this vast world. Especially after he entered the Eastern Tree Sea, which was the bamboo sovereign's territory. The vine sovereign's subordinates would not be able to reach him, so what if it's the vine sovereign? Ning Fan's eyes were calm. Even though he was not a match for the vine sovereign, his current strength was more than enough to protect himself even if he were to run amok in the tree world. In the Northern Tree Sea, 9 old monsters were flying towards Ning Fan's direction in a ray of traveling light. Among these 9 old monsters, there were demon cultivators, devil cultivators, and of course, there were also humans. Each of them was holding a copper mirror magic treasure. Among the 9 of them, there were 3 Void Fragmentation Realm experts and 6 Guiyuan Taishu Realm experts. Wherever the traveling light passed by, the cultivator cities of the Northern Tree Sea kept quiet out of fear. At a certain moment, the 9 of them suddenly looked shocked. They stopped their traveling light and landed on the peak of a tree mountain. That Liu Bei's trail has disappeared. Could it be that he discovered the vine seeds in his body and destroyed them all? A Guiyuan Taishu realm expert who was dressed in purple robes said with a cold and stern gaze. Without the vine seeds, we can't track his whereabouts. The vine sovereign ordered us to hunt him down. Now that we have lost his whereabouts, how are we going to hunt him down? If the vine sovereign finds out that we have failed in our task, she will certainly be furious. Another Guiyuan Taishu realm expert who was dressed in black robes said worriedly. This is bad. The life tablets of vine armor, Qian Shou and the other 2 Taishu realm experts have all been destroyed. A Guiyuan Taishu realm expert who was dressed like a Taoist priest suddenly patted his storage pouch and took out 4 broken life tablets. As soon as they heard what he said, the other 5 Guiyuan Taishu realm experts were shocked. Even the 3 first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm old men were shocked. The 4 Taishu realm old monsters who were chasing after Ning Fan were all dead. Even though the 4 of them were not Guiyuan Taishu realm experts, they could even kill a Guiyuan Taishu realm expert if they joined forces. The 4 of them had suddenly died. If there were no accidents, they were certainly killed by Ning Fan. Ning Fan was just a void inquiry stage cultivator, but he was actually able to kill 4 Taishu realm experts. This was really unimaginable. We have somewhat underestimated this young man. Since he could kill 4 Taishu realm experts on his own, he is definitely not a nobody in the tree world. Liu Bei. This name is too unfamiliar. What exactly is his background? A void fragmentation realm female cultivator who was dressed in pink robes and had long hair that reached her waist fell into deep thought. No matter what his background is, he will certainly die for offending the vine sovereign. Now, we have lost his whereabouts. However, if we observe carefully, we will realize that he was flying towards the southeast. The reason why he bought the map of the Northern Tree Sea in the vast cold city was probably because he wanted to leave the Northern Tree Sea. Judging from the direction, he is going to the Eastern Tree Sea. We must speed up our pace. We cannot let him enter the Eastern Tree Sea. That place is the Bamboo Sovereign's territory. Once he escapes to the Eastern Tree Sea, it will be difficult for us to kill him. A void fragmentation realm cultivator who looked like a big-headed child said with a gloomy expression. With just a few words of analysis, he had already deduced that Ning Fan wanted to escape to the Eastern Tree Sea. The Eastern Tree Sea, Humph. The four great tree seas are separated by the realm-breaking light. No one can pass through the realm-breaking light and enter the other tree seas. The only way to enter the other tree seas is through the realm gates between the trees. There are a total of 6 realm gates between the Northern Tree Sea and the Eastern Tree Sea. If this young man wants to enter the Eastern Tree Sea, he will certainly pass through one of the 6 realm gates. Even though we have lost Liu Bei's whereabouts, we just need to split into 6 groups and increase our speed. Then, we can hide outside the 6 realm gates in advance and wait for him. When the time comes, we can still kill this young man in one go. The one who spoke was the one with the highest cultivation base among the 3 void fragmentation realm cultivators. He was a tree demon whose entire body was covered with leaves. Every time he breathed, countless trees around him would wither. Naturally, no one had any objections to his suggestion of splitting into 6 groups to chase after Ning Fan. After coming to a decision, the 3 void fragmentation realm cultivators accelerated their speed to the maximum and flew towards the 3 realm gates that were located at the border of the Eastern Tree Sea and the Northern Tree Sea. The other 6 void fragmentation realm cultivators split into 3 groups of 2 and headed towards the other 3 realm gates. All of them sacrificed their cultivation base and used secret techniques to increase their speed to the maximum. Each of them was close to the void fragmentation realm. Previously, when they peeked into the copper mirror, they found out that Ning Fan's speed was extremely fast and it was infinitely close to the void fragmentation realm. They were not void fragmentation realm cultivators. Thus, they naturally had to pay a certain price in order to catch up to Ning Fan. From their point of view, Ning Fan's combat power was probably close to that of a void fragmentation realm cultivator since he was able to kill 4 void fragmentation realm cultivators on his own. Even though this young man is strong, he will definitely die if he faces 2 void fragmentation realm cultivators or 1 void fragmentation realm cultivator alone. As long as they split into 6 groups and hide outside the 6 realm gates before Ning Fan, they would certainly be able to wait for him to walk into their trap. 1 month later, Ning Fan withdrew his traveling light and landed in Gomong country in the North Tree Sea. The Gomong Kingdom was a void-rank cultivation country located at the border between the Eastern Forest Sea and the Northern Forest Sea. Past the Gomong Kingdom was the 3rd realm gate to the Eastern Forest Sea. The Gomong Kingdom was filled with Fusong trees. The ruler of this kingdom was the Fusong tree tribe. The king was a Fusong tree demon with great virtual realm cultivation. The realm gate that led to the Eastern Forest Sea opened once every 3 years. It had only been a year since it had last opened, so it would take another 2 years for the realm gate to open again. At that moment, there were many cultivators from the tree world in Gomong Kingdom, waiting for the next realm gate to open so that they could enter the East Tree Sea. The Gomong Kingdom was adjacent to the East Forest Sea, but it was actually a subordinate power of the East Forest Sea Bamboo Monarch. If low-grade cultivators wanted to enter the Eastern Forest Sea from the Northern Forest Sea, they would have to wait for 3 years. There were also exceptions for high-level cultivators. If cultivators at the Void Refinement Realm and above wished to enter the Eastern Tree Sea, they would be able to enjoy special treatment without having to wait for 3 years. As long as they complete a mission given by the Bamboo Monarch, they would be able to open the Realm Gate at any time and enter the Eastern Forest Sea. Ning Fan was sitting in a tavern in a cultivation city in the Gomong Kingdom. When he heard about the Realm Gate, he frowned. Of course, he would not wait for 2 years in the Northern Forest Sea. If that's the case, he could only complete the mission given by the Bamboo Monarch and pass through the realm gate directly. Chapter 566. This was a small city at the edge of the Gomang Kingdom. The highest cultivation level in the city was only a peak Yuanyin great cultivator. Ning Fan sat alone in the tavern, leaning against the window. Outside the window was filled with fusang trees. This tree was shaped like a hibiscus, full of fiery red flowers. As the breeze blew, the whole city was filled with the fragrance of plants. Ning Fan took a sip of the wine and listened attentively to the chatter in the tavern. A few tables of guests were discussing the new fire emperor of the fire world, while others were discussing the war between the mountain world and the earth immortal world. There was a table of customers talking about the third gate of realm, the gate of Valley of Tang. There was also another table of customers talking about the Pill Sovereign of the Rain world. It seemed like the news of the Pill Sovereign breaking through to the seventh revolution had already spread to the Rain world. Naturally, everyone was talking about the demon that was wanted by the entire North Tree Sea. He was a ruthless person that even dared to kill the Vine Sovereign's disciple. I heard that the person who killed the Vine Sovereign's disciple is called Liu Bei. Now, the Vine Sovereign has issued a reward. Whoever kills this person will get 10 billion immortal jade and 10 bottles of 6th revolution pills. TSK, TSK, TSK. 10 billion immortal jade. So much money should be enough to buy an entire high-grade cultivation country, right? It said that Liu Bei has 3 heads, 6 arms, and 8 legs. He's a survivor of the Ghost Tree clan. Because his clan was annihilated, he hates the Vine Sovereign. What? Liu Bei was actually someone from the Ghost Tree clan. I heard that he's the young patriarch of the Heather clan. Tisk, TSK, TSK. Your cultivation bases are too low. None of you have seen Liu Bei's arrest warrant. I just left the Luzhou Kingdom half a month ago and entered the Gomang Kingdom. Gomang Kingdom is a force of Bamboo Sovereign. That's why no one put a bounty on Liu Bei's head. However, Luzhou Kingdom is a force of Vine Sovereign. All the cultivation cities in the kingdom are filled with Liu Bei's bounty. I've seen Liu Bei's appearance on the bounty before. This person doesn't have 3 heads and 6 arms as rumored. He doesn't look ferocious and looks like a weak scholar. Let me take a look. That's right, she looks very similar to the one at the opposite table. As soon as that person's voice fell, many of the customers in the restaurant turned to look at Ning Fan. At first, they were startled, but then they burst out laughing. Brother Sun, don't joke with us. How could Liu Bei look so weak? Haha, Ning Fan gradually turned a deaf ear to the clamor in the tavern. After drinking the wine, he suddenly stood up, left 10 immortal jades on the table, and floated away. He had already decided to enter the Eastern Tree Sea and purchase a large number of tree god fruits to increase his reign intent. The realm gate opened once every 3 years, and there were still 2 years before it would open again. The break world light that isolated the 4 big sea of trees was too powerful. If a fairy touched the break world light, they would be turned into dust. Ning Fan's cultivation base was still low. It was not enough for him to forcefully break through the realm-breaking light with his abilities. He wanted to pass through the realm gate, but he was unwilling to wait 2 years in vain. Naturally, he had to head to the Gomang Empire's capital to complete a mission from the Gomang Empire's ruler. Ning Fan left the tavern and turned into a ray of light, speeding towards the east. Half a day later, the Gomang royal capital could be seen in the distance. Bai City, the capital of the Gomang Kingdom, was a massive city of trees that spanned tens of thousands of li. It was said that tens of millions of years ago, before Bai City existed, it was a wasteland. In the center of the wasteland, there was a towering fusang tree. This tree nurtured countless fusang tree demons. They built their capital here and established the Fusang country. Outside Bai City, hundreds and thousands of cultivators were coming and going. Ning Fan withdrew his traveling light and landed outside Gui City. Then, he followed the crowd and entered the city. As soon as he entered the city, he immediately spread out his spirit sense and vaguely sensed 12 void refinement realm chi in the city. Ning Fan did not carefully investigate the origins of these people. He just wanted to know the number of high-level cultivators in the city and the location of the palaces. After confirming the location of the palaces in the capital, Ning Fan slowly moved forward. Occasionally, he would teleport hundreds of li away. Along the way, he passed by many cultivation shops. This place was adjacent to the Eastern Tree Sea and there were many tree god fruits for sale. Ning Fan strolled around the city for 1 hour and spent more than 2 billion immortal jade to buy more than 400 tree god fruits. Currently, his rain intent was already at the 4th grade. According to his estimation, he would need to devour at least 5,000 tree god fruits to attain the 3rd grade. The difficulty of advancing from the 4th grade to the 3rd grade was far greater than advancing from the 5th grade to the 4th grade. The further he advanced, the greater the number of tree god fruits he would need. In order to advance his rain intent to the 1st grade, he had no idea how many tree god fruits he would need. Other than the tree god fruits, Ning Fan also bought many spiritual materials to repair his spiritual puppets. 1 hour later, Ning Fan appeared in front of the palace in the capital. It was a palace that was built by hollowing out a gigantic tree. There were 12 groups of cultivators patrolling outside the palace gate. The leader of each group was at the divine transformation realm. Normally, low-level cultivators were not allowed to approach the palace. Only some void refinement realm old monsters who wanted to pass through the realm gate would come to the palace to look for the king and accept the bamboo sovereign's mission. When Ning Fan arrived with a smile, a group of cultivators immediately came to greet him. The divine transformation realm leader was a demon cultivator. He spread his spirit sense and scanned Ning Fan. However, he could not sense any trace of Ning Fan's chi. The baleful chi hidden under Ning Fan's smile was like an untouchable devil abyss, causing the demon soul in the divine transformation realm leader's dantian to tremble violently. The divine transformation realm leader's eyes turned solemn. He immediately understood that the smiling white-robed young man in front of him was a dignified void refinement realm old monster. Moreover, he was also a devil lord who had killed countless people. Whether Ning Fan was a devil lord or not was none of his business. The divine transformation realm leader only understood one thing. Since Ning Fan had come to the royal palace, he naturally wanted to look for the king to accept a mission. I'm Tang Chen, the commander of the Mulberry Guards. Greetings, Senior. May I know if Senior is here to look for the king to accept a mission and pass through the realm gate? The divine transformation realm leader's tone was extremely respectful. However, he did not recognize Ning Fan's appearance at all. He did not know that Ning Fan was the person who was wanted by the Divine Sovereign. That's right. I want to pass through the realm gate of the Valley of Tang. I don't want to wait for 2 years in vain. Therefore, I came to look for the king of the Gomang Kingdom. Ning Fan's smile did not diminish. None of the guards dared to look him in the eye. If that's the case, Senior, please follow me. The divine transformation realm leader ordered the other guards to continue patrolling while he led Ning Fan into the royal palace. Along the way, the leader enthusiastically explained the general situation of the realm gate's mission. There were a total of 6 realm gates from the northern forest sea to the eastern forest sea. The realm gate of the Gomang Kingdom was the 3rd realm gate. It was adjacent to the Valley of Tang and was called the realm gate of the Valley of Tang. The eastern, western and southern forest seas were divided by the tree sovereign and it was not easy to enter. However, it was very easy to enter the northern forest sea from the eastern forest sea because the northern forest sea was unowned. Over the years, many void refinement realm old monsters were unwilling to wait for the realm gate to open. Therefore, they came to look for the king of the Gomang Kingdom to accept missions. These missions were all issued by the Bamboo Sovereign. Some of them were difficult while others were easy. The missions given by the king of the Gomon kingdom were divided into 5 stars according to their difficulty. The Void Glimpse stage mission had 1-star rank, the Void Inquiry stage mission had 2 stars, the Void Pierce stage mission had 3 stars, the Absolute Void stage mission had 4 stars and the Void Fragmentation Realm mission had 5 stars. Completing a mission of any star rank would give one the chance to pass through the Realm Gate, and the reward of the mission would be different. Ning Fan wore a thoughtful look on his face. If he only wanted to pass through the Realm Gate, he would naturally choose to complete the easiest 1-star mission. However, if the reward for the high difficulty mission was great, he would also consider completing it. Not long after, Ning Fan passed through several palaces and arrived at the main hall. The Divine Transformation Realm leader respectfully excused himself. In the main hall, a tall, bald old man was standing with a smile on his face. The old man was around 9 feet tall. He was as skinny as a match and wore a green robe with wide sleeves. His temples were bulging and his skin was as dry as tree bark. His body emanated the chi of the Absolute Void stage. He stared at Ning Fan expressionlessly and suddenly spoke. "Are you Liu Bei? The devil cultivator who ordered the Vine Sovereign to capture? You sure have guts. The entire North Tree Sea is obviously searching for you, but you still dare to come to my Gomon kingdom in broad daylight. Aren't you afraid that I will capture you and hand you over to the Vine Sovereign for her reward?" "Oh. I didn't know that the Bamboo Sovereign's subordinates would listen to the Vine Sovereign's order and help her capture someone." Ning Fan smiled faintly. His expression was calm, as if he was not worried that the old man in front of him would capture him. He was also not surprised that the old man could recognize him. Currently, both the West Tree Sea and the North Tree Sea were trying to capture him. Low-level cultivators might not be able to recognize his face, but the high-level cultivators would probably have a warrant for his arrest. Ning Fan did not think that the old man would capture him, nor did he think that the old man could do so. When the old man saw Ning Fan's calm expression without a hint of change in his expression, his eyes flashed with approval. Obviously, Ning Fan was a cultivator who had gone through many hardships. Suddenly, he burst into laughter. "I am Tang Xiong, the king of the Gomon kingdom. I was just joking with fellow Daoist Lu when I said that I wanted to capture you. I am the Bamboo Sovereign's subordinate. Of course, I won't help the Vine Sovereign capture you. Fellow Daoist Lu, you remain calm in the face of danger. Even though your cultivation base is just at the Void Inquiry stage, your courage is much greater than some Void Pierce stage old monsters. I admire you." Tang Xiong cupped his fists at Ning Fan. Ning Fan returned the gesture with a faint smile. "Greetings, Gomon Kingdom King. The reason why I came to the Gomon Kingdom this time is to accept a mission to pass through the Realm Gate and enter the Eastern Tree Sea." "Accept a mission, huh?" Tang Xiong looked at Ning Fan for a while and suddenly asked. "May I know why fellow Daoist Lu has entered the Eastern Tree Sea?" Since Tang Xiong was guarding the Realm Gate for the Bamboo Sovereign, he naturally wanted to know Ning Fan's intentions. Ning Fan was quite infamous in the North Tree Sea. He was someone who dared to kill the Vine Sovereign's disciple. If he enters the Eastern Tree Sea to kill someone and rob them, Tang Xiong would not stop him from entering, but he would secretly inform the Bamboo Sovereign to send someone to keep an eye on him. If Ning Fan enters the Eastern Tree Sea just to avoid the Vine Sovereign's revenge, it would be an act of desperation. Tang Xiong would then take the opportunity to recommend him to the Bamboo Sovereign and recruit him. If Ning Fan is really forced into a corner by the Vine Sovereign and escapes all the way to the Eastern Tree Sea, he would probably be willing to join the Bamboo Sovereign's side. Tang Xiong carefully studied Ning Fan while his mind was racing. Ning Fan seemed to have seen through Tang Xiong's thoughts. He shook his head and chuckled. "Don't worry, Gomon Kingdom King. I didn't enter the Eastern Tree Sea to cause trouble. If people don't offend me, I will certainly not kill them. As for the reason why I entered the Eastern Tree Sea, it's not to escape. I just heard that the Eastern Tree Sea produces tree god fruits and I need them. Tree god fruits. Tang Xiong did not expect Ning Fan to enter the Eastern Tree Sea just to purchase tree god fruits. He recalled the information that the secret guards in the city sent him. Ning Fan had indeed purchased a large number of tree god fruits after entering Bai City, therefore, he somewhat believed Ning Fan's motive for entering the Eastern Tree Sea. After hearing Ning Fan's confession of, "I won't offend anyone if they don't offend me," Tang Xiong nodded his head slightly. He could see that Ning Fan's eyes were calm when he said that. It did not seem like a lie. The path of cultivation was filled with countless battles and killings. No one could guarantee that they would not kill anyone in the Eastern Tree Sea. As long as Ning Fan did not kill indiscriminately, it would be enough for him to enter the Eastern Tree Sea. After hearing that Ning Fan did not enter the Eastern Tree Sea to avoid the Vine Sovereign, Tang Xiong could not help but admire Ning Fan's courage. If ordinary cultivators offend the Vine Sovereign, they would probably be scared to death. However, Ning Fan still wore a calm expression. This calmness came from the bottom of his heart. Because he was confident, he was fearless. Tang Xiong could not imagine how a Void Inquiry Stage Junior could be so confident and not be afraid of the Vine Sovereign's pursuit. He inwardly guessed that Ning Fan might not be as simple as he seemed. Perhaps he should not treat him as a Void Inquiry Stage cultivator, Tang Xiong chuckled. He patted his storage pouch and took out hundreds of jade slips with a wave of his hand. He divided them into 5 piles and placed them on the green jade table. Then, he explained to Ning Fan. Fellow Taoist Lu naturally has no problem if you want to enter the Eastern Tree Sea to purchase tree god fruits. However, there are still 2 whole years before the next opening of the Realm Gate. If fellow Taoist wishes to pass through the Realm Gate in advance, you have to complete a mission according to the rules. These are all missions of the Realm Gate. From easy to difficult, they are divided into 5 stars. Fellow Taoist can choose 1 mission to complete. With fellow Taoist's Void Inquiry Stage cultivation base, you will only need a few days to complete a 1-star mission. A few days, Ning Fan spread out his spirit sense and scanned through the 5 piles of jade slips on the green jade table. From left to right, the difficulty of the missions were from low to high. The first pile of jade slips recorded all 1-star missions such as entering the Tang Valley to kill 100 Divine Transformation Realm Tree Devils and concocting a low-grade 6th Revolution pill. To Ning Fan, a 1-star mission was extremely easy to complete. If there were no accidents, he was prepared to accept a mission to kill a Tree Devil. With his abilities, killing 100 Divine Transformation Realm Tree Devils would be a piece of cake and it would not take too much time. His eyes scanned through the 2- and 3-star missions. These missions were also not that difficult. Even if they were 4-star missions, he was confident in completing them. For example, one of the 4-star missions required him to reinforce the Goman Kingdom's grand defensive formation which was at the peak Mortal Void Realm. With Ning Fan's cultivation base in the Tao of Formations, it was not difficult to complete this mission. However, it would take up a lot of time. Ning Fan's eyes scanned through the jade slips of the 5-star missions. There were only 3 of them in total. The first 5-star mission was to kill a first Heavenly Layer Void Fragmentation Realm Rogue Cultivator in the North Tree Sea. The reward of the mission was 50 billion Immortal Jade. There were 7 to 8 Void Fragmentation Realm experts in the North Tree Sea. The jade slips did not specify who the target was. It only explained that the person had offended the Bamboo Sovereign in the past. After scanning through the mission, Ning Fan shook his head. The risk of killing a Void Fragmentation Realm expert was too great. He would not casually accept such a mission. The second 5-star mission was to concoct a 7th Revolution pill. Ning Fan shook his head again. He did not have the 7th Revolution pill refinement realm to complete such a mission. The third 5-star mission was the latest mission. It required him to enter the Tang Valley of Goman Kingdom and kill 2 newly born Tree Kings among the Tree Devils. This mission was slightly easier compared to the previous two missions. The two tree kings that he needed to kill were just Guiyuan Taishu realm experts. As for this mission, there was no limit to the number of people who could accept it. The jade slips indicated that 9 people had already accepted this mission and they were waiting for the 10th Void Refinement Realm expert to accept the mission. Then, they would head to the Tang Valley together to kill the Tree Kings. If Ning Fan accepts the mission, he would be the 10th person. Ning Fan gently shook his head. He could fight Guiyuan Taishu with his full strength but he did not have the confidence to kill him. There was more or less some risk in fighting 2 Tree Kings. Ning Fan was not willing to take the risk easily. Based on his personality, he would directly accept a 1-star mission and complete it. There was no need for him to get into more trouble. However, when his eyes fell upon the reward of the mission, his eyes suddenly turned cold. Mission reward, a puppet refined from the corpse of the Nether Rakshasa clan. Grade, Void Glimpse Stage Puppet. Additionally, the reward is 2 billion immortal jade. May I ask the king what the corpse puppet of the Nether Rakshasa clan is? Ning Fan's eyes began to fill with coldness. Chapter 567. May I ask the monarch, what is the corpse puppet of the underworld Luo clan? A ray of cold light flashed across Ning Fan's eyes. He did not expect that the corpses of the members of the Ming Luo Tree clan would be refined into spiritual puppets and given out as a reward for a mission. Before he came to the tree world, he promised the Ming Luo Tree spirit that he would come to the tree world to look for the Ming Luo Tree clan and help them when necessary. Today, Ning Fan had yet to start searching for the Ming Luo Tree clan but he had already seen this kind of mission reward. His heart could not help but sink. Could it be that the Nethersif Tree clan was in the Eastern Forest Sea? Could it be that the Nethersif Tree clan had declined to the point that they were bullied and humiliated as they pleased, capturing their clansmen to be refined into puppets as rewards for missions? Who was the one who used the Underworld Tree clan's clansmen to refine the puppet? Was it the Bamboo Emperor? If that is really the case, Ning Fan might have to stand on the side of the Min Luo Tree clan and become enemies with the Bamboo Sovereign. After all, from a moral point of view, the Underworld Sifting Tree spirit was protecting the state of Yu. He had the responsibility to protect the Underworld Sifting clan on behalf of the Underworld Sifting Tree spirit. The moment Ning Fan's eyes flashed, even Tang Xiong who had an absolute void stage cultivation base felt a chill in his heart. His face turned pale with fright. At first, Tang Xiong thought that Ning Fan was just an ordinary void inquiry stage expert. Now, however, he felt an extreme sense of danger from Ning Fan's eyes. That gaze contained a shocking killing intent. That kind of powerful killing intent was unimaginably terrifying. Tang Xiong felt a sharp pain in his sea of consciousness after being glared at by Ning Fan. Layers of illusions appeared in front of his eyes. They were the scenes of seas of blood that Ning Fan had gone through. In those seas of blood, countless people had died. Countless Void Refinement Realm experts had died. There were even Void Fragmentation Realm experts who died in Ning Fan's hands. Could it be that this young man has killed Void Fragmentation? Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators before? But how was that possible? No matter how heaven-defying a Void Inquiry stage cultivator's abilities are, it is impossible for him to kill a Void Fragmentation Realm expert. But this baleful chi is absolutely not fake. This old man has seen countless people in his life and seen many devils, but I have never seen a devil with such a terrifying baleful chi. Just one look is enough to throw this old man's mind into chaos. All of a sudden, Tang Xiong had an illusion. Even though Ning Fan was a Void Inquiry stage cultivator, killing him was as easy as taking something out of his pocket. Tang Xiong was extremely nervous. Only now did he realize how dangerous Ning Fan was. That gaze was something that even Yun Jinghong could not endure, so how could Tang Xiong endure it? Tang Xiong forced himself to calm down. He knew that Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned cold because he was angry. He carefully considered Ning Fan's question and thought about the reason behind Ning Fan's anger. Immediately, he realized that the reason was because the Bamboo Sovereign took the Ming Luo puppets as the reward of the 5 Stars mission. Could it be that Liu Bei has some sort of relationship with the Underworld Tree clan? Or is he a Underworld Tree demon? Was that why he was so angry when he saw his clansmen being refined into puppets? Yes, that must be it. This man's baleful chi is terrifying. He has definitely killed Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators before. No wonder he dared to offend the Vine Sovereign. He has always been fearless. I'm definitely not a match for him. As for the Underworld Sifting Puppet's origin, this old man must clearly explain it to him so that he doesn't misunderstand. If he gets angry and kills this old man by mistake, this old man's death would be too unjust. Tang Xiong's thoughts raced. He laughed dryly and explained with an apologetic smile, "Fellow Taoist, please calm down. Fellow Taoist, please don't misunderstand. These nether net puppets were given to me by the Bamboo Emperor, and it was also this old man's decision to take them out as a reward for the mission. However, these nether net puppets weren't refined by the Bamboo Emperor. I don't have any malicious intent towards the Underworld Tree clan." When Ning Fan heard that the one who refined the puppets wasn't the Bamboo Emperor, the cold light in his eyes lessened slightly. When Tang Xiong saw Ning Fan's expression soften, he inwardly thought that he had guessed correctly. Ning Fan was most likely a Underworld Tree demon. That was why he got angry when he saw the nether net puppets. As he thought of this, Tang Xiong asked, "May I ask if fellow Taoist Liu is a survivor of the Underworld Tree clan 10,000 years ago?" Tang Xiong could not see through Ning Fan's background and could not identify his demon blood. That was why he asked. "Survivor?" Ning Fan did not answer Tang Xiong's question. Instead, he was moved by the word survivor. Judging from Tang Xiong's tone, the Underworld Tree clan seemed to have suffered some kind of great disaster 10,000 years ago. So, all the members of the Underworld Tree clan who are still alive are all survivors. It seems like fellow Taoist doesn't know about the great disaster that the Underworld Tree clan faced. Tang Xiong was inwardly surprised. Many cultivators in the tree world had heard about the great disaster that the Underworld Tree clan faced. It was unexpected that Ning Fan actually knew nothing about it. Tang Xiong did not delve into the reason why Ning Fan did not know about the great disaster that happened to the Underworld Tree clan. He just cleared his throat and revealed a reminiscing expression. 10,000 years ago, a great disaster happened in the tree world. A Void Fragmentation Realm puppet master from the Western Tree Sea snuck into the Eastern, Southern and Northern Tree Seas and massacred more than 30 members of the Tree clan. Then, he used the corpses of countless members of the Tree clan to refine his puppets. The Underworld Tree clan was located in the Eastern Tree Sea and it was one of the members that was massacred by that person. Rumor has it that the Underworld Tree clan once had a tree sovereign. It was one of the top forces in the tree world. However, ever since the disappearance of a certain tree sovereign, this clan gradually declined and no Void Fragmentation Realm experts were born anymore. Until 10,000 years ago, the Underworld Tree clan still had 10 Void Refinement Realm experts to protect it. It was still one of the first-rate forces in the tree world. However, in that great disaster, all 10 Void Refinement Realm experts of the Underworld Tree clan perished. Almost all of the members of the clan were wiped out. Today, there are still survivors of the Underworld Tree clan. They are still living peacefully in a corner of the Eastern Tree Sea. However, it is said that the clan no longer has any Void Refinement Realm experts to protect it. Even the Divine Transformation Realm experts are few and far between. The clan has already declined to become a second-rate force. These 10 Void Glimpse stage Underworld Puppet Masters were refined by that Void Fragmentation Realm Puppet Master in the past. After he finished refining them, he wanted to bring them out of the Eastern Tree Sea. However, he was stopped by the Bamboo Sovereign who intercepted this batch of puppets. However, the Bamboo Sovereign did not return these puppets to the Underworld Tree clan. Instead, he kept them by his side. After listening to Tang Xiong's explanation, the coldness in Ning Fan's eyes gradually faded away. From the bamboo sovereign's point of view, there was nothing wrong with taking the 10 underworld Luo puppets as the reward for the mission. The bamboo sovereign had snatched the puppets from that void fragmentation realm puppet master. Thus, these puppets naturally belonged to him. Since the underworld Luo tree clan had declined, the bamboo sovereign naturally would not return the puppets to them. There was no need for him to express his goodwill to a declining second-rate force. In this matter, the bamboo sovereign did not make any major mistakes. The one who committed a major mistake to the underworld Luo tree clan should be that void fragmentation realm puppet master. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Since underworld Luo tree spirit helped him protect Yu country, he had the responsibility to protect the underworld Luo tree clan. No matter what, he must obtain all the underworld Luo puppets that were the reward for the mission and send them back to the underworld Luo tree clan for burial. All of them were the clansmen of underworld Luo tree spirit. If he knew that his disappearance had led to the decline of the underworld Luo tree clan and that they were slaughtered and refined into puppets, he would certainly be filled with regret. The reason why Ning Fan wanted to bring the corpses of the members of the underworld Luo tree clan back to their homeland was just to return the favor to underworld Luo tree spirit. The ones who slaughtered the members of the underworld Luo tree clan aren't the forces of the Eastern Tree Sea. You can't blame the Eastern Tree Sea for this matter. Tang Xiong advised. Who is the void fragmentation realm puppet master who massacred the Ming Luo clan? Ning Fan suddenly asked. That person is one of the 3 great void fragmentation realm experts under the command of the Vine Sovereign. His name is Wan Chongkong. Even though he is just a cultivator at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, his puppetry techniques are extremely shocking. In his entire life, he has created more than 1,000 void refinement realm spiritual puppets. Most of them are given to the Vine Sovereign while he keeps 200 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets for himself. When he fights against others, he only needs to summon these 200 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets, and even a cultivator at the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm would have to retreat. This person has a cruel nature. In order to refine his spiritual puppets, he can kill millions of people without batting an eye. Is it Wan Chongkong? Ning Fan memorized the name. With a wave of his palm, the jade slip containing the mission of killing the Tree King fell into his hand. Then, he said to Tang Xiong, I will accept this mission, but I wish to take on the entire mission alone. He did not need anyone else's help to kill the 2 Tree Kings. As for the underworld sifting puppets, they're all mine. Ning Fan did not want to accept this 5 stars mission at first, but now, he decided to accept it. He had no other purpose other than to bury the members of the underworld sifting tree spirit. Of course, Tang Xiong understood Ning Fan's motive for accepting this mission. After witnessing Ning Fan's terrifying baleful qi, he did not doubt that Ning Fan had the strength to kill the 2 Tree Kings. Even though the 2 Tree Kings were at the origin returning Great Void stage, Ning Fan had even killed a void fragmentation realm being before. 9 people had already accepted this mission and Ning Fan was the 10th. According to the rules, Ning Fan would be the last to accept the mission. He could not kick out the other 9 people and complete the mission alone to take all the rewards. In Tang Xiong's heart, Ning Fan was much more important than the other 9 void refinement realm beings who accepted the mission. He dared to offend the other 9 people, but he absolutely did not dare to offend Ning Fan. Since fellow Taoist has spoken, I won't say anything else. I will leave this mission to fellow Taoist alone. As for the other 9 void refinement realm fellow Taoists, I will discuss with them and ask them to give up on the mission. Even if they don't do anything, they will still be allowed to pass through the realm gate. It can be considered as an exception. Just as Tang Xiong's voice fell, 7 to 8 sneers suddenly resounded from outside the palace gate. Humph! We are the ones who accepted the mission first. Why should we give up on the mission and let this person monopolize the reward of 10 Ming Luo puppets? Those are the puppets refined by Master Wan Chongkong. They contain his secret puppet technique. All of us are puppet masters. The reason why we accepted this mission is not to pass through the realm gate but for the puppets. We can't hand over these puppets to you alone. A moment later, 9 Void Refinement Realm cultivators flashed and entered the main hall. There were both men and women among them. All of them were Void Refinement Realm cultivators. One of them was a Void Glimpse stage cultivator. There was no Void Inquiry stage cultivator, 4 Void Pierce stage cultivators and 4 Absolute Void stage cultivators. Among the 4 Absolute Void stage cultivators, there was no Origin Returning Great Void stage cultivator. The strongest among the 4 Absolute Void stage cultivators was an old man with white eyes. His pupils did not have a trace of black color. He said to Ning Fan with a disdainful smile. All of us have already accepted the mission to kill the Tree Kings. You are just a Void Inquiry Stage Junior. How dare you try to monopolize the mission? How arrogant of you! Do you think you can fight against 2 Tree Kings alone? Or do you think you can defeat us 9 Void Refinement Realm Puppet Masters with your strength alone? Ning Fan's eyes swept across them indifferently. Most of the 9 Void Refinement Realm cultivators in front of him were puppet masters. Their bodies had a strong puppet chi. The reason why these people were fighting for this mission was self-evident. They wanted those Ming Luo puppets. It was not because the Ming Luo puppets with Void Glimpse stage cultivation bases were powerful but because they were refined by a Void Fragmentation Realm puppet master. Most of these people were hoping to improve their puppet techniques by comprehending these Ming Luo puppets. The only thing that puzzled Ning Fan was that there was actually a Void Glimpse stage cultivator among the 9 of them. It was a young lady in green robes. Her cultivation base was just at the Void Glimpse stage but she was also participating in this mission. How could a Void Glimpse stage cultivator participate in the mission to kill a Tree King of the Guiyuan Taishu stage? Liu Bei. Don't even think about monopolizing this mission. The Ming Luo puppets are mine. The white-eyed old man sneered. Chapter 568. Liu Bei. Don't even think about monopolizing this mission. The Ming Luo puppets are mine for sure. The white-eyed old man sneered. Since he addressed Ning Fan as Liu Bei, it was obvious that he had seen the wanted order issued by the Vine Sovereign and knew that Ning Fan was Liu Bei. Ning Fan was not surprised that his identity was exposed. As a Void Refinement Realm cultivator, it was not strange for him to have a way to obtain a wanted order. Ning Fan was not afraid of being wanted by the Vine Sovereign. He flew at full speed without disguising his appearance or purposely hiding. If he encounters enemies, he would just kill them. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the area. Among the 9 puppet masters, 8 of them looked at him with hostility as if they had already recognized his identity. Only the Void Glimpse stage young lady in green robes who was originally calm had a hint of surprise in her eyes. She did not seem to expect that the elegant white-robed young man in front of her was the Devil Lord who angered the Vine Sovereign. However, when she thought of Ning Fan's intention to monopolize the mission and all the Ming Luo puppets, her eyes were filled with hostility. What will you do if I insist on monopolizing the mission? Ning Fan glanced at the white-eyed old man and said indifferently. The white-eyed old man was stunned. He did not expect Ning Fan to be so unyielding and actually ignore his threat. He narrowed his old eyes and snorted coldly. On the path of cultivation, the strong are respected. If you want to monopolize the mission, show us your strength that can convince us. As soon as he finished speaking, the white-eyed old man suddenly took a step forward. His skin withered rapidly and his eyes shot out 2 rays of dazzling white light towards Ning Fan. When the white light touched him, Ning Fan felt his body gradually stiffening. His skin showed signs of turning into a tree. A layer of white tree bark floated on his skin as if he was about to turn into a wooden puppet. Ning Fan had once plundered the vast cold city and seen many magic techniques of the Tree Clan. He knew that the technique the old man displayed was an extremely powerful technique of the tree world. This technique was called Wood Transformation Eye. It was a secret technique of the Wood Transformation clan. If one cultivates this technique to the highest level, he or she could turn a Void Refinement Realm cultivator into a tree with just a glance. This technique was extremely difficult to cultivate. This white-eyed old man must have had great luck to be able to cultivate this technique. With this white-eyed old man's cultivation base at the absolute void stage, he could turn void pure stage cultivators into trees with just a glance when he displayed the wood transformation technique. However, it was not enough to turn Ning Fan into a tree with this technique. Break. Ning Fan released his magic power and pieces of tree bark peeled off from his body. His body returned to normal and he had broken his tree transformation. Immediately after, he took a step forward, white light flashed on his right arm, and a silver arm guard appeared. With a leap, he reached out to grab the eyes of the white-eyed old man. This attack did not activate the White Tiger Gauntlet's offensive divine ability. Even so, the power of this attack was comparable to the attack of a 4th-level Golden Body Cultivator. Mysterious God Spiritual Equipment. Everyone in the hall was shocked. The white-eyed old man's eyes were filled with astonishment. He did not expect Ning Fan's physical body to be this strong. Moreover, he did not expect Ning Fan to possess a profound divinity spiritual equipment. He was a puppet master who was proficient in the puppet technique. Most of his abilities were connected to his puppets. His physical body alone would not be able to withstand a single attack from Ning Fan. He didn't have time to think. He took half a step back and slapped his storage pouch, taking out countless puppets. In an instant, 216 puppets at the peak of the soul formation stage appeared in the main hall, and they all lined up in front of the white-eyed old man. The white-eyed old man then took out a formation plate. As soon as he activated it, a massive silvery white formation diagram appeared under the feet of the 216 puppets. Traces of formation light connected all the puppets' bodies. At the same time, the 216 puppets threw a punch at the same time. The formation light flashed and the punches merged into one. Wood Transformation Puppet Formation. The attack of the 216 puppets merged with the formation light of the puppet formation and turned into an extremely dazzling punch. Its destructive power was comparable to an absolute void stage attack. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He turned his claw into a fist and threw a punch at the puppet formation. He activated the ability of the White Tiger Gauntlet and threw out a White Tiger Fist Light. Void Technique, White Tiger. As soon as the attacks collided, the puppet formation was shattered. The entire Bai city shook violently. As the main hall of the royal palace trembled, the palaces and pavilions that stretched for hundreds of li turned into ashes and disappeared. The entire Bai city was filled with the angry roar of the white tiger. Countless cultivators were in a state of shock, frightened by the terrifying fluctuations of the battle. After a long time, the tremors in the city stopped and the smoke and dust dispersed. Ning Fan kept his fist light and stood with his hands clasped behind his back. As for the white-eyed old man, he was clutching his chest. His chi was in a mess and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with shock. The 216 Divine Transformation Realm puppets that the old man summoned were all smashed into pieces by Ning Fan. There was no way for them to be repaired. He consumed a pill to suppress his injuries. His eyes were filled with fear and he did not dare to look Ning Fan in the eye. He was not Ning Fan's match. He knew that if it wasn't for the 216 puppets in front of him, he would certainly be hit by Ning Fan's white tiger fist light. He would either die or be severely injured. On the surface, the white-eyed old man did not seem to be in a disadvantageous position. In fact, he had already lost. Ning Fan had only thrown a punch with the help of his spiritual equipment. It did not consume too much of his magic power and stamina. Thus, he was still able to fight with ease. On the other hand, the The white-eyed old man had lost 216 peak divine transformation realm spiritual puppets. That was almost all of his spiritual puppets. A puppet master who lost his spiritual puppets would lose 90% of his abilities. He was not good at other magic techniques or body techniques. If he continues to fight Ning Fan, he would definitely lose. After losing so many spiritual puppets, the white-eyed old man no longer dared to go to the Tang Valley to hunt the Tree King. Without his spiritual puppets, the risk was too great. Now, he had to gather materials again to refine more spiritual puppets. Humph. Fellow Taoist Lu is indeed skillful. My skills are not as good as yours. I don't have the face to compete for the mission here. Farewell. The white-eyed old man let out a cold harumph. He turned into a ray of light and directly left Gomon country. Tang Xiong looked at Ning Fan deeply. He knew that he would not be able to withstand that white tiger fist light without sustaining any injuries. Inwardly, he thought, Ning Fan's abilities are indeed astonishing. Tang Xiong secretly guessed that this punch might not be Ning Fan's strongest ability. After the white-eyed old man left, none of the remaining 8 Void Refinement Realm Puppet Masters would be a match for Ning Fan. Who else wants to compete for the mission with me? Step forward and show me your skills. Ning Fan's eyes indifferently swept across the remaining 8 puppet masters. The 4 Void Pierce stage puppet masters and the 3 Absolute Void stage puppet masters were filled with anxiety when Ning Fan's gaze landed on them. As puppet masters, they relied on their spiritual puppets to fight. Without their spiritual puppets, they would be worthless. Seeing how Ning Fan's mysterious god armor was so domineering, which destroyed 216 peak divine transformation realm spiritual puppets with a single punch, how would they dare to take out their spiritual puppets to fight against Ning Fan? Their puppetry techniques were not as strong as the white-eyed old man, and they did not have as many spiritual puppets as him. Even the white-eyed old man was not a match for Ning Fan. If they fight against Ning Fan, most of their spiritual puppets would also be destroyed. For a moment, everyone fell into silence. The 4 Void Pierce stage puppet masters shook their heads and sighed. They turned around and left, giving up on this mission. Even though the spiritual puppets that Great Master Wan Chongkong refined were rare, it was still not worth it to lose all of their wealth for a Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppet. The 3 Absolute Void stage puppet masters let out a cold snort and glared at Ning Fan with resentment. In the end, none of them dared to attack him again. All of them flicked their sleeves and left. The young lady in green robes was the only one who did not leave immediately. She bit her lips as if she wanted to say something. However, she sighed softly and left in the end. In the end, only Ning Fan and Tang Xiong were left on the ruins of the royal palace. Tang Xiong sighed with emotion. He sent more than 10 message-transmitting flying swords to the entire city, telling his subordinates not to be nervous. The ripples from the battle just now did not mean that someone was attacking Bai City. It was just a friendly battle. With a flick of his finger, his wood element magic power spread across 100 li. A new gigantic tree grew out from the ground. The core of the tree was hollowed out and turned into a brand new royal palace. I wonder when fellow Taoist will enter the Tang Valley to kill the Tree Kings and complete the mission. Tang Xiong asked politely. When night falls, I will enter the Tang Valley. Farewell. Ning Fan took away the mission jade slip and cupped his fists at Tang Xiong. Then, he turned into a ray of traveling light and flew out of the city. The reason why he chose to enter the Tang Valley at night was because the Tree Devil clan could use sunlight to heal themselves during the day. They were rather difficult to deal with. The difficulty of killing the Tree Kings at night was slightly lower. After leaving Bai City, Ning Fan flew all the way to the east. After traveling for about 30 million li, he finally arrived outside the Tang Valley. He stopped his traveling light and stood on the peak of a tree mountain, quietly waiting for the night to fall. At the moment, it was already dusk. The evening breeze caressed Ning Fan's face and the sun was about to set. Ning Fan's mind was calm. He was not afraid of the Vine Sovereign's pursuit, nor was he afraid of offending the 9 puppet masters. The map of the Tang Valley was attached to the mission jade slip. Ning Fan was carefully planning how to kill the 2 tree kings who were at the primordial returning realm in the shortest time and at the lowest cost. There were countless tree devils in the Tang Valley. These tree devils had low spiritual intelligence and were ferocious. They would attack all cultivators who entered the valley indiscriminately. The physical bodies of these tree devils were tough and they were suitable to be refined into puppets. Many puppet masters in Gomang country loved to come to the Tang Valley to capture these tree devils and refine them into puppets. A few years ago, 2 tree kings were born in the Tang Valley. They killed many puppet masters who entered the valley. Therefore, the Bamboo Sovereign set up this mission and ordered someone to kill the tree kings. Sometimes, the puppet technique is very cruel. Ning Fan opened his eyes and sighed softly. When he first heard that someone killed the members of the Ming Luo clan to refine puppets, he was extremely furious. However, after thinking about it repeatedly, he felt that the act of killing people to refine puppets was extremely normal in the cultivation world. Ning Fan himself was a devil lord who had killed countless people. Thus, he had no right to criticize Wan Chongkong for being cruel. Wan Chongkong slaughtering the Ming Luo clan was no different from Ning Fan slaughtering the members of the Demon Sinister Forest, the Star Sea and the Lightning Tower. However, if Ning Fan stood on the side of the Ming Luo clan, he would still hate Wan Chongkong. It had nothing to do with right or wrong. There was no absolute right or wrong in the world, it was only related to one standpoint. Ning Fan raised his palm and looked at his white palm. However, he knew that his palm was stained with blood. He lowered his hand and closed his eyes again, muttering to himself in silence. If there is a day when there are no more enemies in the world, I will be able to put down my killing. However, that day is too far away. The world below the 9 worlds is full of battles. The world above the 4 heavens is full of battles. Even the ancient immortal emperors were fighting endlessly. No one can avoid battles. Wherever there are people, there will be battles. Once you step into this sea of blood, you will never be able to turn back. While Ning Fan was sighing with emotion, the twilight became silent. When the stars rose into the night sky, Ning Fan took a step forward. He knew that it was time for him to head to the Tang Valley. At this moment, a faintly discernible killing intent suddenly rose from Ning Fan's back. An incomparably sharp green crystal short sword was pressed against Ning Fan's back. A petite figure suddenly lurked behind Ning Fan and launched a sneak attack on him. You have finally shown yourself. I'm very curious why a void glimpse stage cultivator like you is so obsessed with the Ming Luo puppets. Ning Fan's face didn't show any surprise, as if he already knew that someone was lurking behind him. Cut the crap. The Ming Luo puppets must never fall into the hands of a devil lord like you. A girl's voice that carried a hint of resentment came from behind Ning Fan. Chapter 569. Night fell, and the bright moon hung high in the sky. The night breeze at the top of the tree mountain revealed a hint of coldness. The green-robed girl held the short sword in her hand and pressed it against Ning Fan's back. Her beautiful eyes revealed a hint of struggle. She knew that the white-clothed young man before her was a devil, and he'd come to seize the Nethernet puppet. She knew that with her void glimpse stage cultivation base, she definitely did not have the confidence to complete the mission and obtain the Ming Luo puppet. However, she was also unwilling to let the puppet fall into the hands of someone like Ning Fan. Those puppets were made from the corpses of her clansmen. She had to retrieve all of them. Even if he couldn't find it, he couldn't allow the puppet to fall into the hands of a demonic cultivator. She hated fiendish cultivators. She hated those cold-blooded and heartless devils who had killed countless people. Her hand was trembling slightly. As long as she stabbed her sword, she would be able to kill Ning Fan and stop him from completing the mission and obtaining the puppet. It was a cyan crystal sword. It was abnormally sharp, but the sword radiance was excessively cold. The sword bones were filled with dense resentment. The green-clothed girl stabbed out with her sword, but her heart was hesitating and struggling. She hesitated for a long time before stabbing out with her sword. In the end, she was not a decisive person. You want to kill me, but you hesitate. To be able to cultivate to the void glimpse stage with such a temperament, the process must have been very difficult, right? Bang! All of a sudden, Ning Fan's body disintegrated into traces of black shadows. The black shadows condensed into a white-robed young man who stood behind the young lady in green robes. His eyes gradually turned profound. How could this be? The girl exclaimed, not expecting that Ning Fan would sneak behind her. She suddenly turned around and thrust her sword at Ning Fan. Ning Fan stretched out two of his fingers and accurately caught the tip of the dagger. The dagger could no longer move forward. His skills are very shaky. Is it because he doesn't fight often? Ning Fan loosened two of his fingers and gently flicked the tip of the sword with his finger. A vast force came from the short sword, causing the girl's arm bones to shatter. She was forced to retreat for more than 10 steps before she managed to stabilize herself. She stared at Ning Fan in dissatisfaction. She was completely no match for him. Even if it was a sneak attack or assassination, he wouldn't be able to gain the upper hand. She was originally a young lady who was ignorant of worldly affairs. Her cultivation was exchanged with the blood of her clansmen. She was not good at fighting or killing, the only thing he was good at was his clans would escape secret technique. There was no chance of winning, so he could only escape temporarily, would escape technique, neither would teleportation. The azure-clothed young girl held a sword in her right hand while her left hand formed a seal. Her entire body suddenly transformed into an extremely secretive streak of light that fled towards the north, covering a distance of 200,000 kilometers. Even though his cultivation base was at the void glimpse stage, his speed was comparable to a void inquiry stage expert. The underworld wood's escape light was not only faster than the escape light of the same level, but it was also very stealthy when it moved. The person who was flying would hide in the sea of trees, and it would be very difficult for ordinary people to find the escape light of the underworld wood. With her cultivation base, even an ordinary void inquiry stage cultivator would have a hard time noticing her. Unfortunately, Ning Fan was not an ordinary void inquiry stage cultivator. Flying towards the north. Sure enough, it's the Nether Luo clans would escape secret technique. Ning Fan fell into deep thought. Then, he also turned into a ray of light and flew towards the north. Seeing that the green-robed girl was so obsessed with the Ming Luo puppets, Ning Fan already had a guess about her identity. Now that he saw the escaping technique of the Ming Luo clan, he was even more certain of his guess. This young girl surely had a great relationship with the Nether Civ clan. It was because of this speculation that Ning Fan did not kill the young lady for her assassination attempt. After a few teleportations, Ning Fan caught up to the green-robed girl who was 1,000,000 li away. While flying swiftly in the night sky, Ning Fan suddenly stopped and stood in midair. His eyes flashed with sword light. His black sword sense merged with the darkness of the night and swept across hundreds of thousands of li, cutting down all the trees within that area. Sword sense was of the metal attribute. Metal could subdue wood. After being hit by the sword chi, the green-robed girl's would escape technique was broken. Her figure flashed and reappeared above the ruins of the sea of trees. She looked rather miserable. Detestable. Is he trying to kill me? No. I can't die. I am the last hope of the Nether Luo clan. I can't die. The green-robed girl's eyes were filled with panic. She seemed to be recalling the sad scenes of the past. The Nether Luo clan had already declined a long time ago. There was no void refinement realm expert among them. With her innate potential and the cultivation resources of the declining clan, it was far from enough for her to cultivate to the void glimpse stage, it was each and every one of her clansmen who had sacrificed their souls and would never be able to enter the cycle of reincarnation to condense cultivation pills for her, allowing her to cultivate to the void glimpse stage step by step. She carried the lives of 100,000 clansmen and the last wishes and expectations of 100,000 deceased clansmen. She couldn't die. She couldn't. She wanted to bring the remains of the 10 Void Refinement Realm ancestors who had fallen 10,000 years ago back to the clan and bury them. I must not die in your hands. Would escape technique, Netherwood blood escape. The green-robed girl suddenly bit the tip of her tongue and spurted out a few mouthfuls of blood essence. Her body was surrounded by a faint blood-red light. Using the remaining dense wood chi in this place, she suddenly changed her direction and turned into a ray of blood-red escaping light, speeding towards the Tang Valley. The Netherwood blood escape technique was also a secret technique of the Netherwood clan. It was not as stealthy as the Netherwood teleportation technique, but it was slightly faster than teleportation. However, each time she used it, she would consume a lot of her blood essence and it would cause a lot of damage to her body. After using the Netherwood blood escape technique, the speed of the green-robed girl could reach 300,000 li, which was comparable to a void pierce stage expert. The green-robed girl understood that even though the blood escape technique that she used to sacrifice her blood essence was faster than teleportation, it was still much slower than Ning Fan's speed. If she does not come up with an extraordinary plan, she would not have any chance to escape from Ning Fan's evil hands. Thus, she no longer flew towards the north. Instead, she turned around and flew towards the south. The Tang Valley was to the south. It was the place where the tree devils lived. As long as she flies into the Tang Valley, Ning Fan would be besieged by the tree devils even if he chased after her. He certainly would not have the mood to continue chasing after her. Of course, this was a risky move. If the green-robed girl enters the Tang Valley, she would also be besieged by the tree devils. Now that there were 2 new Guiyuan tree kings in the Tang Valley, the green-robed girl would certainly die if she runs into one of them. My speed is not as fast as Liu Bei's. If I run into the Tang Valley, I still have a chance to get rid of him. If I don't enter the Tang Valley, I will eventually be captured by him and die a violent death. I have no other choice. The girl gritted her teeth and spurted out a few mouthfuls of blood essence again. Her small face turned pale. After a few times of escaping, her escaping light traveled 1,000,000 li and rushed into the Tang Valley. This girl isn't good at fighting. She is too soft-hearted. However, she knows the principle of putting herself in a dead end. It's also rare. There is an obsession in her eyes. It's the obsession to live. Ning Fan fell into deep thought. He patted his storage pouch and took out the ancient golden sword. Then, he stepped on the sword and chased after her into the Tang Valley. It was a valley surrounded by layers of trees and mountains. It occupied an area of millions of li. The valley was filled with all kinds of ancient trees and countless tree devils. Night fell. Most of the tree devils turned into their tree forms and took root in the soil to sleep. At this moment, the quiet Tang Valley was filled with dense killing intent because the green-robed girl's intrusion had alarmed countless tree devils. Countless towering ancient trees suddenly uprooted and stood up. They shook their bodies and turned into tree giants, chasing after the green-robed girl. In order to avoid Ning Fan's pursuit, the green-robed girl gritted her teeth and flew deeper into the Tang Valley. The deeper she went, the more tree devils were chasing after her, making it difficult for her to move forward. In the end, she was surrounded by several void glimpse stage tree devils in the valley. After Ning Fan entered the Tang Valley, some of the tree devils shifted their attention to him. They left the girl behind and went to surround him. Each of the tree devils was half human and half tree. The shortest one was several hundred zhang tall while the tallest one was even several thousand zhang tall. The Tang Valley was filled with thick mist which had a strong blocking effect on spirit sense. Even with Ning Fan's absolute void grade spirit sense, he could only detect the movements within 100,000 li. There were several tens of thousands of tree devils lurking within the area. Most of them were Gold Core Realm and Nascent Soul Realm tree devils. There were 11 Divine Transformation Realm tree devils and 1 Void Glimpse Stage tree devil. Ning Fan withdrew his spirit sense and his eyes turned slightly grim. There was no sign of the green-robed girl within 100,000 li. Has she already entered the depths of the Tang Valley? The Tang Valley is the resting place of us tree devils. Anyone who dares to trespass will be killed without mercy. The 5,000 zhang tall Void Glimpse Stage tree devil roared furiously. His smile was sinister but his voice was hoarse. Following his roar, countless tree devils displayed their magic techniques and attacked Ning Fan. Ning Fan waved his hand and a hurricane suddenly rose within the Tang Valley, blowing away the magic techniques of the tree devils from the earth realm. He spread out his black sword sense and killed all of a sudden. Within 100,000 li, sword light flashed and turned the place into a sea of blood. Several tens of thousands of low-grade tree devils were instantly annihilated. Within the area of 100,000 li, there were only 7 to 8 Divine Transformation Realm tree devils and 1 Void Glimpse Stage tree devil who was dumbfounded. Void Inquiry Stage Old Monster. The Void Glimpse Stage tree devil turned around and fled towards the depths of the Tang Valley. Ning Fan raised his right arm and summoned the White Tiger Gauntlet. Then, he threw a punch at the Void Glimpse Stage tree devil. With just a punch, a gigantic shadow of a white tiger appeared in the night sky. It turned into a 10,000 zhang silver fist light and exploded outside the Tang Valley. The fist light spread out, turning the area within 100,000 li into ruins. That Void Glimpse Stage tree devil and the few Divine Transformation Realm tree devils were all killed by the fist light. Ning Fan tapped the tip of his foot on the ancient golden sword and increased his speed to the maximum, flying towards the depths of the Tang Valley without any fear. His eyes glowed with blood-red light. His body was enveloped in a layer of faint blood-red light. He released all the baleful qi that he had accumulated in his lifetime of killing. At this moment, half of the night sky above the Tang Valley turned blood-red. Even the moonlight was dyed into a blood moon. Countless tree devils along the way felt Ning Fan's terrifying baleful qi. All of them shivered in fear. Most of the tree devils in the Tang Valley had low spiritual intelligence. Even so, they could instinctively sense how terrifying Ning Fan was. None of the tree devils dared to stand in front of Ning Fan anymore. Even the few Void Glimpse Stage and Void Inquiry Stage tree devils silently retreated after sensing Ning Fan's monstrous baleful qi. None of them dared to fight against him. Countless tree devils stared at Ning Fan in awe. They stared at the golden sword light and the blood-red moonlight. This was a demon who had committed a monstrous sin of murder, a demon that even the heavenly Tao could not tolerate. If no one provoked him, he would not kill. If they provoked him, they would definitely die. In the depths of the Valley of Tang, the green-clothed girl used the wood escape technique again and again, getting closer and closer to the abyss nest in the deepest part of the Valley of Tang. It was like a bottomless pit, dark and bottomless. There were 2 huge black trees growing in the cave, and each tree was 90,000 zhang tall. As the green-clothed girl approached the abyss, the number of tree demons chasing after her gradually decreased. When the green-clothed girl stood beside the abyss, there were no longer any tree demons chasing after her. The girl lowered her head and looked at the pitch-black abyss beneath her feet, feeling a chill in her heart. Could this abyss be the resting place of the tree kings of the Tang Valley? Could it be that those tree devils don't dare to come close to this place? When she thought of the possibility that there were 2 tree kings of returning essence living under the abyss, she felt a little frightened. She turned around and fled from the abyss. Even though she wanted to kill the tree kings to complete her mission, she did not have the ability to do so by herself. The reason why she entered the Tang Valley recklessly this time was just to escape from Ning Fan's pursuit. At this moment, since she had already gotten rid of Ning Fan and countless tree devils, it was time for her to leave the Tang Valley. Seeing that the girl was about to turn around and leave, two sinister laughter suddenly resounded from the abyss. He he he. Another outsider has entered the Tang Valley to seek death. Moreover, it's a woman. He he, this woman has an aura that disgusts me. If I'm not mistaken, she should be a tree demon from the Ming Luo clan. He he. Ming Luo clan. Very good. Should I pluck this woman first or eat her first? At the moment when the two sneers resounded, two extremely terrifying auras pressed down on the green-robed girl like the sky was falling. The auras were extremely cold and gloomy, causing the green-robed girl to tremble uncontrollably. She felt as if she was nailed to the ground, unable to leave. She felt as if she had lost control of her body. The girl revealed a look of panic. This was the aura of returning essence Great Void. This wasn't the aura of 60 units of magical power, but the aura of Yuanhui magical power. Under the aura of this Yuanhui magical power, the girl only felt that she was as insignificant as an ant. She could not calm down and resist the two tree kings at all. Above the night sky, two rays of black light shot out from the abyss and turned into two burly men in black armor, standing in the air. One of them was holding a wooden sun magical treasure. It was oval in shape and had 6 holes on it. When the night wind blew, the wooden sun would let out a demonic sound that sounded like the wailing of ghosts. It had the ability to absorb one's soul. Obviously, it was a demonic sound treasure. The other burly man was carrying a giant black axe. There were black runes drawn on his face. He looked down at the green-robed girl, licked his lips and sneered. The Nether Luo clan was once a sovereign force of the tree world. They had once annihilated my Ghostwood clan like an ant. Unfortunately, after the disappearance of a certain tree emperor, the Nether Luo clan fell into decline. The catastrophe 10,000 years ago had even reduced the Nether Luo clan to a second-rate force. I was still thinking about going to the Eastern Tree Sea to slaughter the Nether Luo clan that was struggling at death's door. I didn't expect that a Void Refinement Realm cultivator of the Nether Luo clan would come to seek death tonight. The burly man's sneer did not stop. Suddenly, he took a step forward and swung his giant axe, slashing down at the green-robed girl who could not move. The power of the axe turned into an extremely dazzling black axe light, splitting the vast sky. Even an ordinary absolute void cultivator would not be able to withstand this axe light. The green-robed girl looked at the black axe light that was slashing down on her head, revealing a look of despair. She was a puppet master and what she was good at was the puppet technique. She had been cultivating with the help of the cultivation pill and her demonic force was weak. Even when she was at her peak, she would not be able to withstand the axe light of the Tree King, let alone now that she was being suppressed by the Tree King's aura force and could not move. The axe light was getting closer and closer. The girl's ears gradually became quiet. Only the sound of the wind could be heard. She had never felt so close to death before. Her bright eyes were filled with unwillingness. She bit her lips with her pearly white teeth, causing traces of blood to flow out. She did not want to die here. Qing Dai, you can't die here. You can't. You are the last hope of the Nether Luo clan. You carry the lives of 100,000 clansmen. You can't die before we find the corpse of our ancestor. Qing Dai. You can't die here. The girl revealed a crazed look. There was a green pearl hidden in her dantian. That was the last bloodline demon treasure of the Nether Luo clan. It contained the void fragmentation realm attack left behind by her ancestor. It was a life-saving item given to her by her clansmen. This treasure could only be detonated by sacrificing the bloodline power of the Nether Luo clan. Once it was detonated, even the Gui Yuan Taishu realm cultivator would be injured. At this moment, the girl decided to take out the pearl and burn her demonic blood to fight against the two Tree Kings. Her eyes were filled with determination and desperation. It was filled with determination that she would not retreat even if she died 10,000 times. At the moment when the axe light slashed down and the pearl was about to detonate, a silent sigh suddenly resounded in the night sky. Then, a young man in white robes with cold eyes appeared in front of the girl in green robes. He held a silver pagoda in his hand and raised it. As soon as the pagoda rose into the sky, it immediately grew in the wind and emitted circles of silver spirit wheels. A gigantic silver halo suddenly appeared in the night sky. Within the ring of light, scattered silver specks of light gradually appeared, and in the next moment, countless silver arrows shot out from the ring of light into the sky, easily piercing through the black axe light. This treasure was Ning Fan's spoils of war when he swept across the vast heaven palace. It was the Tower of Freezing Rain. After shattering the axe light with a single strike, Ning Fan's figure instantly took 9 steps forward like a ghost. After taking 9 steps, he strangely returned to his original spot as if he had never moved at all. After taking 9 steps, the great force of heaven and earth shook. The aura force of the 2 tree kings was shattered. At this moment, the girl in green robes regained her mobility. "Who are you?" The 2 tree kings stared at Ning Fan coldly as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Even though the cultivation base that Ning Fan revealed was just at the void inquiry stage, he was able to shatter the axe light with a single strike and break their aura force with 9 steps. His abilities were extremely powerful. The 2 tree kings were intelligent beings. They naturally knew that they could not underestimate Ning Fan. "Are you here to save me?" "He's here to kill me." The green-robed girl was stunned. She failed to assassinate Ning Fan's and entered Tang Valley to escape from his evil clutches. She didn't understand why Ning Fan would save her. Perhaps he was here to kill her. "Is your name Qing Dai? What's your status in the Ming Luo clan?" Ning Fan turned around and did not answer the green-robed girl's question. Instead, he asked her with a smile. I'm the current high priest of the Ming Luo clan." Qing Dai gritted her teeth and tried her best to calm herself down. She did not want to show any sign of fear in front of Ning Fan. That's right. Ning Fan was very strong. The 2 tree kings in front of him were also very strong. With her void glimpse stage cultivation base, she would not be able to escape from the devil claws of these powerful enemies no matter what. But she was not willing to give in. She would rather die. She was the high priestess of the Nether Sift clan, the last hope of the clan. Even if she knew that she was weak and the enemies were strong, she would not allow herself to be afraid. "High priest, huh? If that's the case, I will protect you today. No one can hurt you. I've promised a friend to protect the Ming Luo clan for him." Halfway through his words, Ning Fan suddenly patted his storage pouch and took out a black wooden token, showing it to the green-robed girl. The moment the token was taken out, the green-robed girl felt her demon blood boiling. Her bright eyes were filled with astonishment. This is why you are." She was so shocked that she did not know what to say. "That friend of mine asked me to protect the Ming Luo clan. He also asked me to do another thing, to accept the black wooden token and become the current tree sovereign of the Ming Luo clan. As the current tree sovereign of the Ming Luo clan, I have the obligation to protect the members of the clan." Ning Fan held the black wooden token in his hand and took a step into the sky. In an instant, he turned into a black robe and emitted the aura force of the absolute void realm. He clawed at the ground in the void space with his 5 fingers, displaying the soul extraction technique. His aura force rose steadily and was infinitely close to the absolute void realm. Suddenly, he opened his sword pouch and let out the 5 petite sword spirits. Then, he ordered them in an irrefutable manner. "All of you, kill that sun-blowing devil. As for this axe-wielding devil, leave it to me." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly took out the black wooden token and activated his sovereign chi. The black wooden token was a supreme treasure in itself. It needed to be activated with sovereign chi. Once it is activated, all the trees would submit to it, as if the tree sovereign had personally arrived. All the plants and trees in heaven and earth are my subjects. My country is where my roots are. Sovereign technique, plants and trees as soldiers. At the moment when Ning Fan activated the technique, all the towering ancient trees within 1,000,000 li were uprooted from the ground and turned into puppet wooden soldiers with golden armor. Chapter 570. The towering ancient trees within 1,000,000 miles turned into millions of golden-armored wooden soldiers. Ning Fan recalled the Tower of Freezing Rain. Then, he raised the black wood token high up in the air and formed a series of hand seals with all 10 of his fingers. In the distance, the 5 sword spirits were already fighting with the blowing willow tree king. On the other side, the axe-wielding tree king stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. When his gaze fell upon the Blackwood token, his eyes actually revealed a hint of fear. He had heard of this Blackwood token. The axe-wielding tree king was a member of the Ghost Tree clan. The Ghost Tree clan was once a large clan in the tree world, but it was destroyed by the Underworld Civ clan a long time ago. During the prosperous years of the Underworld Civ clan, this Blackwood token had another name, Tree Emperor token. It was rumored that any cultivator with a Blackwood token would produce a Supreme Emperor's aura when fighting against a Wood Elementalist, making it difficult for the Wood Elementalist to resist. After Ning Fan took out the Blackwood token, the axe-wielding Tree King felt his heart palpitating. All of its Wood Elemental magic power became a little sluggish. He was very sure that the token Ning Fan took out was the Blackwood token. The irresistible pressure of an emperor was being emitted from the token. There was no mistaking it. At that time, the Underworld Luo clan was not the only tree emperor in the tree world. However, the Underworld Luo tree emperor was a supreme powerhouse in the tree world. He dominated the tree world and led the other tree emperor forces. Most of the Ming Luo tree emperor's strongest abilities were closely related to the Blackwood token. They needed to cultivate their sovereign chi and use the Blackwood token. According to the rumors, this Blackwood token had disappeared along with the disappearance of the last Ming Luo tree emperor. Why did it appear here? The axe-wielding tree king was too astonished. When it saw Ning Fan summon the wooden soldiers, it was even more astonished. The towering ancient trees transformed into golden-armored wooden soldiers, and even the weakest among them was at the Jindan stage. With just one spell, he summoned about 5,000,000 golden-armored wooden soldiers. This is a technique that can destroy a nation. One spell to summon 5,000,000 wooden soldiers. Just these 5,000,000 wooden soldiers are enough to destroy a country. The axe-wielding tree king found it difficult to calm down. When he saw Ning Fan display another type of divine ability, he was even more astonished. All of a sudden, Ning Fan bent his palm and kept the Blackwood token into his sleeve. Soon after, he bit off his little finger and sacrificed the finger bone. The broken bone turned into countless fragments and scattered on the ground. In the next instant, the little finger was reborn, and 6,000,000 bone-armored demonic soldiers appeared on the ground. 5,000,000 gold-armored wood soldiers and 6,000,000 bone-armored demonic soldiers. After casting the 2 magic techniques, Ning Fan's magic power was greatly depleted. However, he managed to summon 11,000,000 gold core realm puppet soldiers. At this moment, the shadow of a golden dragon coiled around Ning Fan's body. That golden dragon was filled with sovereign chi. The green-clothed girl on the ground was Qin Dai. She stared blankly at Ning Fan. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. At this moment, Ning Fan's sovereign chi burst out. He stood in the night sky like a dazzling golden sun. He stood in the air like an emperor, and beneath his feet were 11,000,000 soldiers who had submitted to him. He came with the Blackwood token and claimed to be the current tree emperor of the Nether Civ clan. His appearance was to protect the Nether Civ clan. His appearance was 30% handsome and 70% elegant. His eyebrows slanted to his temples. His black eyes carried the prestige of a sovereign. However, they were calm and unfathomable like an ancient well. At this moment, he had transformed into a black robe. His black hair had grown longer and reached his waist. It danced wildly in the night wind. The left side of his face had a demonic pattern. His body carried an indescribable demonic aura. Is he really the current tree emperor of my Nether Civ clan? What kind of person is he exactly? I tried to assassinate him but he wanted to protect me. Ning Fan did not look at Qin Dai again. The reason why he protected her was just to repay tree spirit Ming Luo's kindness. At this moment, Ning Fan's mind was completely immersed in the two magic techniques. He had used the transforming bones into soldiers technique many times in the past. However, he had never felt such a mysterious feeling like today. At this moment, he actually gained some enlightenment when he used both the transforming bones into soldiers and the transforming bones into soldiers technique at the same time. This enlightenment was something that he had never experienced before. In the transforming bones into soldiers technique, the plants and trees were real while the wooden soldiers were fake. In the transforming bones into soldiers technique, the finger bones were real while the skeletal soldiers were fake. Whether it was the transforming bones into soldiers or the transforming bones into soldiers technique, both of them contained the principle of turning reality into void. Turning reality into void was already considered as the enlightenment of the Great Void. The power of these two magic techniques was closely related to the enlightenment of the word void. The wooden and skeletal soldiers that Ning Fan summoned were only at the gold core realm. However, if his enlightenment of the word void reaches a higher level, the power of these two magic techniques would certainly increase. The wooden and skeletal soldiers that he summoned now were all at the gold core realm. As his enlightenment of the word void increases, the soldiers that he summoned would advance to the nascent soul realm or even higher in the future. However, he did not know if his enlightenment of the word void was enough to summon nascent soul realm puppet soldiers. Or, could he only summon nascent soul realm puppet soldiers after his enlightenment of the word void reaches the void-breaking realm? There are less than 5 million nascent soul realm cultivators in the entire Rain world. If I can summon 11 million nascent soul realm puppet soldiers with these two magic techniques, I'm afraid I can sweep across the entire world with just these two magic techniques. Ning Fan raised his eyes and looked at the Tree King who was holding an axe in the distance. His eyes gradually revealed a hint of madness. The reason why he summoned 11 million puppet soldiers was to severely injure the Tree King with a single blow. He wanted to make all the summoned puppet soldiers self-detonate and use the force of their self-detonation to severely injure the Tree King. The self-detonation of 11 million gold core realm cultivators would also injure even the primordial Great Void realm cultivator. Ignite! Ning Fan changed his hand seal and the bodies of the 11 million puppet soldiers were all ignited with golden flames. These puppets rose into the sky and their bodies began to burn rapidly. They were inanimate objects. Following Ning Fan's order, each of them fearlessly rushed towards the Tree King, hoping to injure the Tree King with their deaths. The Tree King was stunned. Initially, he was still wondering why Ning Fan summoned so many puppet soldiers. One should know that even though there were a lot of them, their cultivation bases were too low. Each of them was just at the gold core realm. They were not very useful in the battle of the Great Void realm. However, at this moment, the Tree King understood Ning Fan's intention of summoning the puppet soldiers. As soon as he saw the puppet soldiers combusting, he immediately guessed that Ning Fan was going to detonate them. In his shock and anger, he almost wanted to curse out loud. Madman! Looking at the 11 million puppet soldiers that surged into the night sky and surrounded him like a tidal wave, the Tree King felt his scalp go numb. He wanted to teleport away but he was already blocked by the puppet soldiers from all directions. The night sky of hundreds of thousands of li was filled with puppet soldiers like flying locusts. The Tree King swung his giant axe. Each swing of his axe could split the vast sky and kill tens of thousands of gold core realm puppet soldiers. However, there were just too many puppet soldiers. After swinging his axe a few times, he only managed to kill less than 300,000 of them. He could not find a way out at all. As Ning Fan changed his hand seal again, the 10 million puppet soldiers were about to self-detonate at this moment. The Tree King's eyes widened in shock. His mind was in a mess. He thought that if he directly withstood the self-detonation force of 10 million gold core realm cultivators, he would certainly die. He was at the primordial returning Great Void Realm. He had already faintly touched the power of opening the heavenly dwelling with his palm. As he changed his hand seal, a door of heavenly dwelling light immediately appeared in front of him. He took a step into the door and hid inside the heavenly dwelling. The Tree King knew that with the self-detonation force of 10 million gold core realm cultivators, even the heavenly dwelling space would be blasted into ashes. The reason why he hid inside the heavenly dwelling space was because he wanted to use the space barrier of the heavenly dwelling to block some of the self-detonation force. After entering the heavenly dwelling space, the Tree King immediately patted his storage pouch and took out 7 mortal void realm formation discs. Then, he activated 7 layers of mortal void realm grand formations to strengthen the defenses of the heavenly dwelling space. At the same time, he shook his body and transformed into his true form of a 9,000 zhang tall tree. He was a member of the Ghostwood clan. The defense of his true form was extremely strong. Even an ordinary absolute void realm attack would not be able to hurt him at all. All of his defensive measures were completed in an instant. At the moment he transformed into his true form, the 10 million puppet soldiers in the night sky outside shouted at the same time and self-detonated at the same time. Shatter 10 million puppet soldiers, Divine Devil Finger. The 10 million puppet soldiers shouted at the same time. These 10 million puppet soldiers were either wooden soldiers or bone soldiers. All of them were transformed by Ning Fan's magic technique. They did not have spiritual intelligence and they could not think. There was only one thought in their minds, to fight for Ning Fan from the moment they were born until their deaths. The 10 million gold core realm puppet soldiers self-detonated at the same time, setting off a terrifying golden storm in the night sky. In the middle of the golden storm in the night sky, a 10,000 zhang large golden finger suddenly appeared. The storm gradually subsided. All of the explosive energy had merged into the golden finger. How did that golden finger appear? Ning Fan had no idea about it at all. The golden finger emanated an ancient fiend god chi. Under this chi, even Ning Fan held his breath for a moment. Ning Fan stared at the golden finger with astonishment. Obviously, the appearance of this golden finger was beyond his expectation. The reason why he displayed the myriad plant soldiers and shatter bone soldiers technique was to make the 11 million puppet soldiers self-detonate at the same time. However, even Ning Fan did not know that when the 10 million puppet soldiers self-detonate at the same time, it would activate another ancient devil ability. This is, the lost ability of the ancient fiend god, finger incinerating weapon. This is my first time seeing someone display this ability with my own eyes. Luo Yu cried out involuntarily in the profound Yin world. Shatter Bone Soldier's technique and finger incinerating weapon were both ancient fiend god abilities. The former was occasionally used by people but the latter was rarely used by anyone. Even with Luo Yu's experience as a true immortal in the past, she had never seen anyone display the finger incinerating weapon technique. It was only today that she found out that the so-called weapon incineration finger required one to first summon millions of puppet soldiers using the weapon incineration technique and make the puppet soldiers self-destruct before it could be executed. Even if it was Moksha Sovereign, he could only summon 100,000 puppets using the weaponsmithing art. Even the perfected immortals above the 4 heavens could not summon 10 million puppet soldiers with broken bones. If he couldn't summon 10 million puppet soldiers, he wouldn't be able to achieve the prerequisite of executing the weapon incineration finger. From Immortal Emperor Mo Zhong, Ning Fan had learned the complete transforming bones into weapons technique. With the help of the Blackwood token, he displayed the Ming Luo clan's omnipotent plant technique. The number of puppet soldiers he summoned had already reached 10 million. When he ordered the 10 million puppet soldiers to self-destruct, he accidentally activated the weapon incineration finger. Weapon incineration finger. Ning Fan stopped making hand seals. His eyes stared at the 10,000 zhang golden finger in the night sky. His eyes gradually turned fiery. That golden finger was a fiend god finger formed from the explosion of millions of puppets. So exploding millions of puppets could unleash such a terrifying divine ability. Now, the power of the fiend god finger formed from the explosion of millions of gold cores was actually equivalent to the power of a first heavenly layer nirvana realm body cultivator's finger. If my comprehension of the void reaches an extremely high level, I wonder how powerful the fiend god finger formed from the explosion of millions of nascent souls would be. Besides, Ning Fan also had other comprehensions. Transforming bones into weapons, shattering millions of puppets and returning to his finger. There seemed to be an indescribable profound principle which he could not comprehend for the time being. The 10,000 zhang golden finger was as bright as the sun in the night sky. The golden finger pressed against the heavenly dwelling space where the axe-wielding Tree King was hiding. That heavenly dwelling space could not withstand the power of the fiend god finger at all and shattered with a loud bang. The axe-wielding Tree King who was hiding in the heavenly dwelling space appeared in the night sky along with the shattering of the space. He looked at the 10,000 zhang golden finger in the night sky and was suddenly stunned. What is this golden finger? Didn't that brat explode millions of puppet soldiers? Why don't I see any energy waves from the explosion? Instead, a golden finger appeared. Not good. Even though the axe-wielding Tree King did not know where the golden finger came from, he could feel a destructive force from it. He had already transformed into the true form of the Ghost Tree clan. His body had turned into a 9,000 zhang tall ghost tree. Its defense was extremely sturdy. There were also 7 layers of mortal void grand formation protecting him. However, none of this gave him any sense of security. Facing the 10,000 zhang golden finger, the axe-wielding Tree King had an illusion. It was as if he was not facing a golden finger but a fiend god that had swept across the world in the ancient times. Boom! 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 The golden finger pressed against the 7 layers of mortal void grand formation light and all of them were shattered. The golden finger pressed against the Tree King's gigantic trunk and the tree immediately trembled. The defense of the Tree King was extremely strong. Even an ordinary absolute void stage cultivator would not be able to harm the tree at all. Even though the golden finger was powerful, it could not break the tree's defense in a short period of time. However, as time passed, the bark of the tree was gradually crushed and turned into ashes by the power of the golden finger. The power of the golden finger was also fading away bit by bit. However, before it was completely depleted, it still managed to break the trunk of the tree. At the moment when the tree was broken, the power of the finger exploded, raising the mountain of trees within a million li to the ground. The axe-wielding Tree King spurted out a mouthful of blood. His tree trunk was directly shattered by the golden finger and he returned to his human form. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. His injuries were extremely severe. The black armor on his chest was completely shattered. He only managed to stabilize his body after retreating 100 steps in the night sky. His eyes were filled with fear. What a terrifying golden finger. Even the power of a finger of a nirvana body cultivator is nothing more than this. He went into the space of his heavenly dwelling and activated 7 layers of mortal void grand formation light to transform into his true form. However, he was still severely injured by the golden finger. The power of this golden finger was too terrifying. The nirvana finger, Ning Fan descended from the sky in time and stood in front of Qin Dai, helping her to block the aftermath of the collision. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions. He did not expect to accidentally activate the fiend god ability of the weapon incineration finger, even though he was confident that he could injure the axe-wielding Tree King by detonating the 10 million spiritual puppets. He did not think that the explosion of 10 million gold core realm cultivators would be able to severely injure the Tree King. However, when the power of the explosion of the 10 million spiritual puppets turned into the fiend god finger, the destructive power of the explosion suddenly increased and the Tree King was directly injured. Currently, other than the void ignition technique and the steel technique of sun and moon, my strongest abilities are the weapon incineration finger. However, even with these three magic techniques, I still don't have the confidence to defeat the primordial void stage cultivators in a single strike. The difference in strength between an absolute void stage cultivator who has attained the primordial void stage and one who has yet to attain the primordial void stage is just like the difference between the clouds and the mud. He glanced at Qing Dai. Although her eyes were filled with shock, she was not injured at all. Thus, he felt slightly relieved. Then, he flew up to the sky and confronted the axe-wielding Tree King. "You are very strong. Incarnation, soul extraction, sovereign chi. If I'm not mistaken, you have already learned all three of the void fragmentation realm techniques. No wonder you can display strength that is comparable to the primordial void stage even though you are only at the void inquiry stage. However, you are still not a match for me, a primordial void stage cultivator." The axe-wielding Tree King gradually calmed down. His eyes glinted with ferocious light. He decided to use his strongest ability to eliminate Ning Fan. He could not give Ning Fan another chance to display his golden finger. Chapter 571. The axe-wielding Tree King flipped his right hand and a black copper lamp appeared in his hand. Currently, he was severely injured. It was not advisable for him to fight Ning Fan directly in case his injuries worsened. Thus, he decided to use his magic treasure to kill Ning Fan. The body of the copper lamp was in the shape of a tree. There were 7 copper saucers on the branches. Among the 7 saucers, only 4 of them still had a few drops of lamp oil. The other 3 saucers were completely empty. The axe-wielding Tree King activated his magic power. Among the 4 saucers that still had lamp oil, the wick of the first saucer immediately lit up with a dark red flame. The first lamp, scarlet lamp, ignite. Ning Fan's eyes fell upon the dark red flame and his expression instantly turned solemn. At the moment when the copper lamp was ignited, Ning Fan's heart suddenly felt a sense of danger. Without hesitation, he retreated 100 steps. Under the moonlight, his black robes fluttered in the wind, making him look like a fluttering black butterfly. Just as he retreated, a huge crack suddenly appeared where he was standing just now. What was hidden under the crack was the heavenly dwelling space of the copper lamp. Suddenly, pairs of gigantic hands reached out from the crack and tore it open. The crack became bigger and bigger. From the crack, the shadows of gigantic ghosts that were tens of thousands of zhang tall walked out with loud rumbling sounds. 1, 2. 24 of them. There was a total of 24 gigantic ghosts. Each of them had a void glimpse stage cultivation base. They lined up in a row in the night sky. Their ghostly chi was dense and terrifying. This is the ghost illumination technique. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He had seen through the copper lamp. He had been cultivating the devil path for many years. He had heard of many secret techniques of the devil path and he had also heard of the ghost illumination technique. However, he had never seen it with his own eyes. The gigantic ghosts in front of him were not real ghosts. They were shadows that were illuminated by the lamp. Each of the 7 saucers of the copper lamp contained a heavenly dwelling space that contained numerous ghost shadows. These ghost shadows were refined using a secret technique. Each of them could only be refined by killing countless cultivators. After the ghost shadows were refined, they would be kept in the saucers. When the wick of the lamp was lit, the flickering ghost shadows would be reflected. The lamp oil that was ignited in the saucers was the oil from the human body. Each drop of the lamp oil was refined by killing countless cultivators and extracting the oil from the dead bodies. Each and every one of these ghostly shadows had an extremely strong cultivation base. Moreover, they did not have a physical body. They were just shadows illuminated by the lamp. As long as the lamp was not extinguished, the ghostly shadows would not perish. There were only 4 light saucers with oil left in them. When the first light saucer was lit up, 24 void glimpse stage ghosts appeared. If the axe-wielding Tree King continued to light up the lamp, it would definitely light up more ghosts. Ning Fan's eyes darkened. He suddenly raised his right hand and pointed at the 24 gigantic ghosts in the night sky. Although it was just a finger, it contained an unimaginable sword radiance. It was the lesser void sword art. In the dark night sky, millions of void sword lights instantly appeared and swept across the night sky like rainbows. Millions of swords flew towards the ghostly figure, with the power to shatter the void. Currently, Ning Fan unleashed his full strength. His cultivation base was close to the origin returning absolute void stage. The small void sword he displayed was enough to kill ordinary absolute void stage experts. Each of the 24 gigantic ghost shadows was at the void glimpse stage. In the eyes of cultivators of the absolute void stage, a void glimpse stage cultivator could exterminate them with a raise of their hand. Chi! 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 One after another, the gigantic void glimpse stage ghosts were cut into pieces by the lesser void sword. All of them perished, but not a single piece of flesh and blood was left behind. The sword light dispersed. The night sky was filled with dense ghost chi. The atmosphere was extremely strange. The axe-wielding Tree King's eyes flashed with surprise. Then, he revealed a cold smile. What a powerful void sword art. Unfortunately, the power of this sword art is still not enough to kill my ghost shadows. This treasure of mine is called the 7-Life Lantern. It is the defining treasure of my Ghostwood clan. Its power is far beyond your imagination. Condense. The axe-wielding Tree King struck out a magic seal towards the copper lamp in his hand. The light on the first light saucer became brighter. The ghost chi that filled the night sky instantly condensed into gigantic void glimpse stage ghosts. Ning Fan frowned. These ghosts were much harder to kill than he had imagined. At this moment, the axe-wielding Tree King's face suddenly turned pale. His life force was constantly slipping away. His body seemed like it was about to decay, but his aura force was becoming more and more terrifying. It was an aura of magic power that had experienced the vicissitudes of life. It was as if tens of thousands of years were flowing in his body. That aura of magic power was definitely not something that the magic power of 60 years could compare with. That was the magic power of Yuan Hui. Yuan Hui was 129,600 years, which was 2,160 years. The aura of Yuan Hui's magic power was far thicker than the magic power of 60 years. The destructive power of the magic techniques he used was also far beyond that of 60 years. Even though Ning Fan had also fought against void fragmentation realm experts in the past, he had never had such a clear sense of Yuan Hui's magic power before due to his limited cultivation base. Only when one's magic power returned to their primordial state could they break through the bottleneck of the void fragmentation realm. Yuan Hui and 60 years were not different in terms of quantity but in terms of quality. The second lamp, green lamp, light. The axe-wielding Tree King channeled all of his magic power into the second light saucer. The wick of the lamp immediately lit up with a green flame. At this moment, the night sky cracked open for the second time. 12 gigantic ghost shadows crawled out from the crack. Each of these 12 gigantic ghosts was at the void inquiry stage. Kill him. Under the command of the axe-wielding Tree King, the 24 void glimpse stage giant ghosts and the 12 void inquiry stage giant ghosts stepped across the vast sky and surrounded Ning Fan. Ning Fan raised his finger and slashed out the minor void sword. 1,000,000 rays of sword light swept across the sky, killing all 36 gigantic ghosts. However, as the light of the lamp flickered, the 36 gigantic ghosts regathered and reappeared in an instant. Then, they waved their fists and attacked Ning Fan again. Ning Fan's body was surrounded by void sword light. Every time he waved his hand, 1,000,000 rays of sword light would appear. They could easily crush the ghost shadows, but they could not kill them completely. Even though those ghost shadows could not be killed, they were not strong enough to hurt Ning Fan. The axe-wielding Tree King frowned and his eyes flashed with a hint of gloominess. His black hair turned white and his face began to age. Just now, he still looked like a burly man, but in the blink of an eye, he had turned into an old man. He had paid a huge price just to light up the third light saucer. The Ghostwood clan had 7 life lamps. The scarlet lamp was the first lamp and the green lamp was the second lamp. The further the light was, the more powerful the ghost shadows would be. With the axe-wielding Tree King's cultivation base, he could only light up the 4th lamp at most. Moreover, from the 3rd lamp onwards, he would need to pay a huge price to light up each lamp. The 3rd lamp, golden lamp, light. As the 3rd light saucer was lit up, the 3rd crack of the heavenly dwelling appeared in the night sky and 7 void-pierced stage giant ghosts crawled out of it. When the 7 void-pierced stage giant ghosts joined the battle, Ning Fan's pressure immediately increased tremendously. Facing the 36 void glimpse stage and void inquiry stage giant ghosts, Ning Fan could still deal with them with ease. Even though he could not kill those ghost shadows, he would not get hurt from the clash of fists and sword light. However, when the 7 void-pierced stage giant ghosts joined the battle, the situation began to change. After all, Ning Fan was just one person while his opponents were 43 unkillable giant ghosts. Each time he attacked, he could only send out 1,000,000 rays of void sword light. It was not enough to kill all the ghosts and he still had to divert some of his strength to block the attacks of the giant ghosts. The 36 void glimpse stage and void inquiry stage giant ghosts used their bodies as meat shields to resist all of Ning Fan's sword light. The 7 void-pierced stage giant ghosts stepped on the broken limbs of the group of ghosts and swung their fists at Ning Fan's chest. Boom boom boom. With the strength of Ning Fan's physical body, he would inevitably suffer some injuries if he withstood the attacks of 7 void-pierced stage experts. Fortunately, the moment his chest was hit, Ning Fan's body turned into a black shadow and dissipated, allowing him to avoid the 7 void-pierced stage fist lights. Ning Fan's eyes turned grim. The 7 life lamps of the Ghost Eye clan were indeed a little difficult to deal with. He had just lit up the 3rd light dish and he had already summoned a void-pierced stage ghost shadow that he could not kill. Based on this, the 4th light dish might be in Great Void Ghost Shadow. It seemed like the axe-wielding Tree King could not light up the 5th, 6th and 7th light dish. If he could light them up, perhaps he would be able to summon Void Fragmentation Realm ghost shadows with just these 7 lights. I can't drag this any longer. If this person lights up the 4th light dish and summons a Great Void Ghost Shadow, even I will have to retreat. Perhaps only the Void Ignition technique can eliminate this ghost shadow. However, if it's just the Void Ignition flame from the 3rd flap of the butterfly wings, I'm afraid it won't be enough to eliminate this ghost shadow. Ning Fan's mind raced. All of a sudden, he turned into a black shadow and dispersed. He avoided the attacks of the ghost shadows and flew towards the axe-wielding Tree King. The axe-wielding Tree King was slightly shocked. Ning Fan, who had turned into a black shadow, actually gave him a sense of danger. He inwardly guessed that Ning Fan was about to display a powerful ability when his incarnation was disintegrating and condensing. His eyes turned cold. He suddenly bit the tip of his tongue and spurted out a few mouthfuls of blood essence towards the 7 life lamps. After spurting out a few mouthfuls of blood essence, his chi, which was already severely injured, became even weaker. The blood essence landed on the 7 life lamps and seeped into them. All of a sudden, the 4th light dish was lit up. It was burning with a black flame. The 4th lamp, black lamp, light. At the moment when the 4th lamp was lit up, the 4th heavenly dwelling crack suddenly appeared in front of the axe-wielding Tree King. 4 great void ghosts crawled out from it. As soon as the 4 ghosts appeared, they immediately waved their fists at the black shadows that filled the sky. The combined attack of the four great void ghosts was not any weaker than the primordial returning attack. Even Ning Fan, who was in his black shadow form, did not dare to take the punches of the four ghosts head-on. The black shadow hurriedly condensed and turned into the figure of a black-robed young man. He avoided the four punches but could not get close to the axe-wielding Tree King. The axe-wielding Tree King sneered. He had already lit up the 4 light dishes and summoned so many ghost shadows. There were 24 void glimpse stage ghosts, 12 void inquiry stage ghosts, 7 void pierce stage ghosts and 4 absolute void stage ghosts. There was a total of 47 void refinement realm ghost shadows. Moreover, these ghost shadows could not be eliminated. Any primordial returning void stage expert would not be able to escape death if they were to be besieged by so many ghost shadows. At this moment, the axe-wielding Tree King did not doubt that these ghosts could kill Ning Fan. The only thing he was worried about was that Ning Fan would run away in fear after seeing how powerful these ghosts were. He secretly released his magic power and performed the palm-opening heavenly dwelling technique, sealing off the vast sky within hundreds of thousands of li, not giving Ning Fan any chance to escape. This young man's abilities are not weak. However, he can't do anything to the ghost shadows of my Ghostwood clan. He will die for sure. Ghosts, listen to my command. Kill him. The 47 giant ghosts heard his command and let out a thunderous roar. The 4 great void stage ghosts occupied 4 sides of Ning Fan and attacked him from all directions. The 36 void glimpse stage and void inquiry stage ghosts approached Ning Fan fearlessly, creating a gap for the 7 void pierce stage ghosts to attack him. Under the attacks of the ghosts, Ning Fan's black shadow was shattered and reformed again and again. After the 4 great void stage ghosts joined the battle, the destruction of his black shadow was no longer enough to offset all the damage. Injuries began to appear on Ning Fan's body. He summoned his primordial lightning armor. With its terrifying defense, he was barely able to withstand the attacks of the ghosts. Even though the primordial lightning armor was already at the peak of the golden armor realm, its defense against the attacks of the great void stage Gue primordial origin returning void stage gradually cracked under the attacks of the ghosts. The vast sky in all directions was locked down. There was no way for him to escape. The 4 great void stage ghosts were guarding the 4 sides of the battlefield. They could not get out of the battle circle of the ghosts. Ning Fan took a deep breath. He knew that if he does not use forceful methods to truly kill these ghosts, he would not be able to defeat the axe-wielding Tree King. Both the weapon incineration finger and the steel technique of sun and moon were very powerful. However, they were not abilities that could kill the ghosts. The small void sword could slash the void. However, its usage of the void was obviously not as good as the void ignition technique. In the end, I still have to use the void ignition technique. Ning Fan raised his finger and pointed at the void sword shadows, causing the ghosts to retreat slightly. All of a sudden, he steadied his footsteps and black flames flashed in his eyes. A massive black flame formation diagram suddenly appeared beneath his feet. Countless black fiery butterflies appeared in the night sky. The 3rd fan isn't enough to kill the ghosts. I wonder if I can use the 4th fan. Ning Fan was not confident that he could use the 4th fan. When he fought against Yundaoku, he had yet to reach the void glimpse stage. Thus, he could not use the 4th fan of the butterfly flames. When he fought against Bone Sovereign, he had just attained the void glimpse stage. Similarly, he could not use the 4th fan of the butterfly flames. Now that he was already at the void inquiry stage, his understanding of the void had become much deeper. After using the 2 great abilities of his incarnation and soul extraction, his cultivation base was infinitely close to the origin returning great void stage. If he uses the 4th fan of the butterfly flames with his current cultivation base, he probably would not be turned into ashes by the backlash of the butterfly flames. However, he would most likely suffer severe injuries, the origin returning Great Void stage is indeed powerful. With my current abilities, I can only kill the origin returning Great Void stage by giving it my all and risking serious injuries. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with determination and he performed a hand seal. At this moment, the millions of black fiery butterflies burned their wings and condensed into a massive fiery butterfly. That fiery butterfly was too massive. Its pair of black fiery butterfly wings was enough to cover the entire night sky. As soon as the fiery butterfly appeared, the axe-wielding Tree King's body began to tremble uncontrollably. What magic technique is this? Why does it give me such a strong sense of danger? After all, he was a cultivator of the origin returning Great Void stage who rarely had a match for him below the Void Fragmentation realm. He had also been attacked by an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm in the past. However, even when facing an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm, he had never felt such a strong sense of danger. He had already reached the origin returning Great Void stage. The difference between him and a Void Fragmentation realm cultivator was no longer the difference in quality but the difference in magic power. However, what he sensed from the black fiery butterfly was clearly the difference in quality and the difference in cultivation base. This void ignition technique still had flaws. It was not perfect. Even so, it was already infinitely close to an immortal technique. Facing the void ignition technique, even Yundaoku felt afraid, let alone the axe-wielding Tree King who was just a cultivator of the origin returning Great Void stage. Kill him. Don't let him use this technique. Even if it means self-destruction, we must kill him. The axe-wielding Tree King ordered anxiously. The self-destruction of the ghost shadows was to let them self-detonate and use the force of their self-destruction to injure Ning Fan. The ghost shadows could not be killed using ordinary methods. However, if they self-detonate, they would still die. In the future, if the axe-wielding Tree King still wants to use the 7 life lamps, he would have to kill more people and refine more ghosts. The axe-wielding Tree King felt a sense of impending doom from the fiery butterfly. He wanted to stop Ning Fan from using the technique at all costs. 12 void glimpse stage giant ghosts strode forward. All of a sudden, their self-ignited ghost shadows exploded in front of Ning Fan. 6 void inquiry stage giant ghosts dashed towards Ning Fan fearlessly and self-detonated all of a sudden. 3 void pierce stage giant ghosts were engulfed in ghost flames and detonated themselves in front of Ning Fan. Even an absolute void stage cultivator would not dare to face the self-destruction of 3 void pierce stage experts head-on. 2 of the absolute void stage giant ghosts wore cold expressions. They suddenly performed hand seals on Ning Fan's left and right, detonating their ghost shadows. The self-destruction of 2 absolute void stage experts was enough to severely injure even the origin returning Great Void stage cultivator. Boom boom boom. Ning Fan was at the center of the self-destruction. The black shadows were scattered by the self-destruction of the group of ghosts. The black shadows condensed again. Ning Fan's injuries were extremely severe and he was barely breathing. However, his eyes were as cold as a stone, unaffected by anything. If he was determined to burn his wings into ashes, he would not allow anyone to extinguish his flames. Void ignition, he uttered these 2 words indifferently and his hand seals suddenly changed. The gigantic fiery butterfly that covered the night sky immediately flapped its wings towards the axe-wielding Tree King. With the first flap, the remaining 12 void glimpse stage giant ghosts turned into ashes. With the second flap, the remaining 6 void inquiry stage giant ghosts turned into ashes. With the third flap, the remaining 4 void pierce stage giant ghosts turned into ashes. The fourth flap. Ning Fan felt that his physical body was about to collapse and he was about to be buried in the butterfly flame. The level of the void ignition technique was too high. It was infinitely close to an immortal technique. With his current cultivation base, it was still not enough for him to perfectly display the 4th flap of the butterfly flame. However, he was no longer the same as before. His cultivation base had improved and his comprehension of the word void had also improved. Moreover, he had cultivated the minor 5 elements physique, which gave him a certain level of defense against fire techniques. Even if he forcefully uses the 4th flap of the butterfly flame, he would not be burned to ashes by the backlash of the flame. All of his internal organs were ignited. His immortal veins were burning and his primordial spirit was burning. Ning Fan's injuries worsened. His face was extremely pale but his eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Void ignition. At this moment, Ning Fan's entire body was engulfed in black flames. When he used the butterfly flame to burn his enemies, he himself was also engulfed in flames. At this moment, the giant butterfly flapped its wings for the 4th time. An unimaginable might of void flames turned into black smoke and swept towards the axe-wielding Tree King. The 2 giant ghosts of the great void realm that were protecting him were directly turned into ashes by the butterfly flame. The axe-wielding Tree King with a cultivation base at the primordial return realm did not even have the time to escape from the 4th flap of the butterfly flame. His old physical body was instantly turned into ashes and dissipated. If he was in his peak state, he could still escape from the attack of the butterfly flame while sustaining severe injuries. However, he was severely injured by the burning weapon finger and the backlash from forcefully igniting the 4 light dishes was not light. How could he withstand the destructive power of the butterfly flame? Amidst the screams, the Tree King's primordial spirit was filled with fear. He picked up the 7 lives lamps and tried to flee. Even though he was a member of the Ghostwood clan, he was not a tree demon. Instead, he was a wood element devil cultivator of the human race who cultivated the tree devil technique. At this moment, he was afraid. Theoretically, no void inquiry stage cultivator could defeat the primordial return realm cultivator. The gap between the primordial return realm and the primordial return realm was already an insurmountable gap. However, Ning Fan could not be judged by common sense. The axe-wielding Tree King was scared silly by the void ignition technique. He could already tell that this technique was a divine ability that was infinitely close to an immortal technique. This technique is infinitely close to an immortal technique. If this young man can fully display this technique, he can even put up a fight against a rogue immortal. This young man can't be defeated by force. I'm not his match. I must run. While he was running away in a panic, Ning Fan raised his hand and pointed at the air. With just a single point, dense blood lines spread out from the Tree King's primordial spirit, fixing it in the night sky. You won't be able to escape. Ning Fan raised his hand and sucked the Tree King's primordial spirit into his palm. He planted a dense restriction on it and sealed it. Then, he temporarily kept it in his storage pouch along with the 7 lives lamps. In the night sky far away, 5 sword spirits used their sword silk to tie up a weak primordial spirit and brought it back. That primordial spirit was none other than the blowing snail Tree King. Under the combined efforts of the 5 sword spirits, they also eliminated the blowing snail Tree King. However, the process of the battle was not easy. The 4 sword spirits were slightly injured. As for the 5th sword spirit, his entire body was covered in blood. His body was extremely illusory as if it was about to disappear. Little Fan Fan, quickly save Tong Tong. Tong Tong's injuries are too severe. He's about to die. The 4 little sword spirits looked at Ning Fan with a pleading look. Especially the 1st sword spirit, Jingjing. She looked at Ning Fan with teary eyes. She no longer had the arrogance she had before. Logically speaking, the combined strength of the 5 sword spirits should be above the blowing snail Tree King. However, the 5 of them were too conceited and underestimated their enemies. Jingjing, in particular, was even more arrogant as the eldest sister. She did not take the Tree King seriously. Due to her carelessness, she was plotted against by the Tree King and almost died. If it wasn't for the 5th sword spirit, Tong Tong, who blocked the attack for her at the critical moment. The one who was severely injured would certainly not be Tong Tong but her. Tong Tong, I'm sorry. Please don't die. Jingjing's eyes were filled with tears. The other three little girls were also crying their eyes out. Tong Tong's small face was extremely pale. Similarly, she could not stop her tears. Her body was in pain everywhere. She was so afraid of death. She did not want to die. Ning Fan took the primordial spirit of the blowing snail tree king and sealed it. Then, he kept it in his storage pouch. Raising his hand, he carefully held the heavily injured Tong Tong in his palm and sighed softly. Don't worry. You are my sword spirits. I won't let you die. Ning Fan's injuries were also severe, but he decided to treat the fifth sword spirit's injuries first. No matter how severe his injuries were, he could heal himself with the Black Star art. However, the body of the fifth sword spirit was extremely fragile. If I don't heal this little girl, it won't be long before her spirit body dissipates. Chapter 572. After all, the Tang Valley was surrounded by the tree demons. It was not suitable for him to recuperate in seclusion. Ning Fan carried the injured Tong Tong with his left hand. With a wave of his right hand, he displayed the void teleportation technique, sweeping up Qing Dai and the other sword spirits. Then, they turned into a wisp of smoke and drifted out of the Valley of Tang. Outside the Tang Valley, in a desolate and uninhabited valley, Ning Fan withdrew his traveling light and appeared in an ethereal manner. He opened up a simple cave abode on a mountain of trees and ordered Qing Dai and the four sword spirits to stand guard outside while he brought Tong Tong into the cave to heal her injuries. When the four sword spirits heard Ning Fan's order, all of them were stunned. Before this, the four sword spirits were not really loyal to Ning Fan. They had always disliked Ning Fan ordering them around. Now, in order to heal Tong Tong's injuries, the four sword spirits had to obey Ning Fan's orders. After hesitating for a while, they decided to obey Ning Fan's order and went to guard the entrance of the dwelling. You must cure Tong Tong. As long as you cure Tong Tong, Big Sister will listen to you from now on. I promise. Second sister will be obedient too. Third sister will be obedient too. Fourth sister will be obedient too. Xiao Fan Fan, you must cure Tong Tong. Ning Fan nodded with satisfaction after hearing the words of the four little girls. The reason why Ning Fan treated Tong Tong's injuries was because he wanted to be responsible for his own sword spirits. Another reason was that he wanted to ease the awkward relationship between him and the five sword spirits so that they would submit to him wholeheartedly. In the end, the life-death restriction was just a trick. When Qing Dai heard Ning Fan's order, she bit her lips and decided to follow his order to guard the entrance of the dwelling. She still could not completely believe that Ning Fan was the current tree sovereign. After all, the Blackwood token had been missing for many years. Now that it suddenly appeared in his hands, anyone would doubt the authenticity of this matter. However, Qing Dai could be sure of one thing: Ning Fan was genuinely trying to protect her and he did not have any evil intentions towards her. If it wasn't for her trespassing into the Tang Valley, Ning Fan wouldn't have to fight the two tree kings in a hurry. If Ning Fan entered the Valley of Tang alone, he would certainly use the heaven-deceiving cloak to conceal himself and launch a preemptive strike. He would assassinate one of the tree kings and then besiege another tree king with the five sword spirits. This was the safest plan. Qing Dai had disrupted Ning Fan's plan but he still saved her from the hands of the Tree King without any fear. After rescuing Qing Dai, he did not even plant any mental restriction or demon restriction on her. Qing Dai's combat ability was not high, but she was not stupid. All the signs were enough to prove that Ning Fan did not harbor any ill intentions towards her and that she could trust him. She was also not worried that Ning Fan would harbor evil intentions towards the Nether Luo clan. To put it bluntly, the Ming Luo clan had declined to become a second-rate force. Apart from Qing Dai, there was no other void tempering cultivator in the clan. The Ming Luo clan was so weak. If Ning Fan really harbored evil intentions, there was no need for him to express his goodwill to Qing Dai at all. He could directly suppress the Ming Luo clan with his strength without using any cunning methods. Liu Bei is a trustworthy person. He said that he was entrusted by a friend to come and protect the Nether Civ clan. But there's one thing I don't understand. Who is the friend he mentioned? Ning Fan stepped into the cave dwelling and flicked his sleeve. A table, chair and bed immediately appeared in the empty cave dwelling. After placing the dying Tong Tong on the bed, Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out a few pill bottles and some flying swords of decent quality. He placed them on the jade table at the side. Her bright yellow shirt was torn in many places, and her plain little skirt was dyed red with blood. Her body was only the size of Ning Fan's thumb. Her small face was pale. The pain caused her to moan and cry incessantly. Ouch, ouch, Ning Fan looked at Tong Tong with pity. She was obviously a little stutterer and was very afraid of death, but she still went to save people. What a silly child. Sleep for a while. Ning Fan separated a trace of Yin plucking finger force and injected it into Tong Tong's body, causing her to fall asleep. After that, he took the pill bottles on the jade table, took out all the pills and poured them into a jade bowl. These pills were pills to increase the cultivation base of sword cultivators. To Tong Tong, they were the best healing pills. Tong Tong was a sword spirit. Her body was a spiritual body, which was very different from the body structure of a cultivator. Ordinary healing pills could not help her heal. The injuries she suffered were not flesh wounds, but the spiritual body of the sword spirit. Therefore, Ning Fan took out the sword cultivator pills to strengthen the spiritual body of the sword spirit for Tong Tong and help her heal. It was easy to say, but the process was not. Tong Tong's body was too small. It was impossible for her to swallow a whole pill. Therefore, Ning Fan needed to use other methods to help Tong Tong consume the pills. He put dozens of sword pills into the jade bowl and dissolved them with clear water. A trace of flame appeared between his fingers, warming the clear water. Then, he lifted the unconscious Tong Tong up. With a point of his finger, Tong Tong's clothes turned into ashes and her petite body was placed into the jade bowl. To Tong Tong, this small jade bowl was a huge bath. And this bowl of clear water that was used to dissolve the pills was the best medicinal bath. The unconscious Tong Tong soaked in the jade bowl. The medicinal water seeped into her wounds, washing away the bloodstains. Her wounds slowly healed, making her moan in comfort. The painful expression on her small face was slightly reduced. Her small face was bright and clean, with a childish and innocent look. She was very cute. If she grew up to be a young lady, she would most likely be a beauty. At this moment, her naked body was soaking in the jade bowl. Ning Fan carefully looked at her face and naturally did not have the slightest desire. She was just a little person the size of a thumb. Who would have desire for her? Seeing that Tong Tong's complexion was gradually getting better, Ning Fan nodded his head in satisfaction. He picked up the flying swords on the jade table and exerted his palm force, shattering all of them. All of these flying swords possessed strong spiritual power. All of them were obtained from Guanhan City by Ning Fan. Even the lowest grade flying sword was at the Divine Transformation Realm. He shattered a total of 63 Divine Transformation Realm flying swords and 15 Mortal Void Realm flying swords. He refined the sword spirits of all the flying swords and threw them into the jade bowl for Tong Tong to consume to stabilize her spirit body. After absorbing the power of the pills and the sword spirits, the wounds on Tong Tong's body gradually healed and her spirit body gradually stabilized. However, her small face was still a little pale and weak. She probably still needed to soak in the jade bowl for a few more days to fully recover. Knowing that Tong Tong's injuries were no longer a problem, Ning Fan sent a voice transmission to Jingjing to take care of Tong Tong in the Immortal Cave while the others continued to guard the Immortal Cave. With a flash, he entered the dark golden pagoda of the Yuanya world. He summoned his natal black star and began to heal his injuries. After consuming a sixth revolution pill, he immediately sat down with his legs crossed to absorb the medicinal power. 3 days later, Tong Tong stretched her body and yawned comfortably. Then, she woke up. 3 days in the outside world was equivalent to 1 year in the 7th floor of the dark golden pagoda. Ning Fan had also stabilized his injuries, but it was still very difficult for him to fully recover. The injuries caused by the giant ghost's attack were not difficult to heal. What was difficult to heal was the burning injury caused by the backlash of the void ignition technique. The burning injury affected the primordial spirit. The main injuries were on the primordial spirit, which was the foundation of a void refinement realm cultivator. If the physical body was destroyed, the cultivator could still survive if the primordial spirit was intact. If the physical body was intact but the primordial spirit was dead, the cultivator would be considered dead. After all, Ning Fan was not considered as the true primordial returning Taishu realm. He was just a void inquiry stage cultivator. Even if he used all kinds of methods, it was still too much for him to display the fourth flap of the butterfly flame. Unless my cultivation base improves further, I won't be able to perfectly display the fourth flap of the butterfly flame. This time, displaying the butterfly flame technique has damaged the foundation of my primordial spirit and consumed a lot of my life essence. I need to recuperate well. It's best if I can find a human cauldron and quickly replenish my lost life essence after plucking it. Plucking a high-grade human cauldron is more effective than consuming any healing pills. Even though I can put up a fight against the primordial returning Taishu realm, it's just a fight. With my current strength, it's still not enough to wipe out the entire primordial returning Taishu realm. Ning Fan exhaled a mouthful of murky qi. With a flash, he left the Yuanya world and returned to his cave dwelling in the outside world. At this moment, other than the injuries on his primordial spirit, the injuries on his immortal veins and internal organs had all healed. Tong Tong had already recovered. She stood respectfully on the jade table with the other 4 sword spirits, waiting for Ning Fan's return. Seeing Ning Fan fly out of the Yuanya world, the 5 sword spirits blushed and bowed to him respectfully. Big sister greets little Fan Fan. Second sister greets little Fan Fan. Third sister greets little Fan Fan. Fourth sister greets little Fan Fan. 5. Tong Tong is a little stutterer. She can't even finish her sentence. She wanted to say thank you for saving her. She is willing to marry you with her body. When the other sword spirits saw Tong Tong stuttering, they immediately teased her. As soon as she heard the joke of, "Marry me," Tong Tong's small face became even redder. She quickly waved her hands and denied it. No, it's not. The few little girls played around. Because Tong Tong's injuries were healed, each and every one of them was in a great mood. Ning Fan smiled faintly. After this incident, the 5 little girls had truly pledged their allegiance to him. This was very good. He glanced sideways at Qing Dai and suddenly asked with a smile, "I've killed the Tree King of Tang Valley. Now, I'm returning to Wui City to submit my mission and cross the realm gate to the Eastern Forest Sea. After going to the Eastern Forest Sea, I'll pay a visit to the underworld Civ clan. Do you want to follow me back to the Eastern Forest Sea? Or do you still want to stay in the North Tree Sea? I'll follow you back to the Eastern Tree Sea. The reason why I left the Eastern Tree Sea was to retrieve the remains of the 10 Void Refinement Realm old ancestors." Halfway through her words, Qing Dai suddenly showed a hesitant expression. She looked at Ning Fan pleadingly and gritted her teeth. "If I may be so bold, I would like to ask Senior Lu for a favor." The reason why she addressed him as Senior instead of the Tree Sovereign was because the identity of the Ming Luo Tree Sovereign was of great importance. It was impossible for her to recognize him as the Tree Sovereign just because he possessed the Blackwood token. How did Ning Fan obtain the Blackwood token? Who asked him to protect the Underworld Net clan? She had to get to the bottom of these things. What's the matter? Ning Fan possessed the mind-reading technique. Naturally, he could see through Qing Dai's thoughts. He knew what she was thinking, but he did not expose her. He just looked at her with a faint smile. My lord has killed 2 tree kings and completed the 5 stars mission alone. You can obtain 10 Void Glimpse stage Ming Luo puppets and 20 billion immortal jade from the king of Gomong country. Qing Dai has a presumptuous request. I'd like to purchase 10 Ming Luo puppets from you. After Qing Dai made her request, she immediately looked at Ning Fan nervously, afraid that he would reject her request. Ning Fan neither agreed nor rejected her request. His eyes swept across Qing Dai's body and asked, "Are you a puppet master?" "Yes. Even though Qing Dai's strength is weak, I can be considered as one of the best in the entire Eastern Tree Sea." "How is your puppet technique compared to the city lord of Guanghan City?" "The city lord of Guanghan City? Is it fellow Taoist Guang Hanzi?" Qing Dai was surprised. Then, she said confidently, "My puppet technique is unique to my Ming Luo clan. Guang Hanzi is not as good as me. However, I heard that Guang Hanzi's master was an extremely powerful puppet master. However, he had already fallen a long time ago. If I'm compared to his master, I'm sure I'm not as good as him." "Oh. You seem to be very confident in your puppet technique. However, as far as I know, you don't even have a single Void Refinement Realm spiritual puppet in your storage pouch, do you? It seems like you only have 200 Divine Transformation Realm spiritual puppets." "Yes. I don't have any Void Refinement Realm spiritual puppets with me." Qing Dai sighed softly. With her puppet technique, it was not difficult for her to refine Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets. She could even refine Void Inquiry stage spiritual puppets. Her puppet technique was very advanced. She could almost be ranked among the top 3 in the entire Eastern Tree Sea. Unfortunately, the Ming Luo clan had already declined. It was already difficult for Qing Dai to break through to the Void Glimpse stage by sacrificing 100,000 members of her clan. They did not have the financial resources to refine Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets for her at all. "Do you want these 10 spiritual puppets to increase your strength?" Ning Fan intentionally asked. "No. That's not it. I just want to find my ancestors' remains and bury them in the illusory grave of my clan. This is the wish of countless members of my clan. They can't bear to see their ancestors' remains wandering outside." Qing Dai's eyes turned red when she thought of her clan members who had died for her. "I see. How about this? If you agree to one of my conditions, I will give you these 10 Ming Luo puppets. You can bring them back to your clan and bury them." "What condition?" Qing Dai's face turned red. She lowered her head and her eyes were filled with panic. In order to find her ancestors' remains, she would agree to whatever condition Ning Fan proposed as long as it would not harm the members of her clan. Even if Ning Fan proposed an outrageous condition to take her as his concubine, she would not have any complaints. "Don't worry. My condition will definitely not put you in a difficult position. I just want to borrow your puppet technique." "Fine. I will tell you about it in the future. Now, let's return to Guanghan City first." What Ning Fan meant was for Qing Dai to help him repair his Void Fragmentation Realm spiritual puppets. Since her puppet technique was better than Guang Hanzi's, the success rate of her repairing the puppets would naturally be higher. There was another reason why he proposed this condition. He wanted to give the Ming Luo puppets to Qing Dai in a justifiable manner. The reason why he competed for this mission was just to obtain the Ming Luo puppets and send them back to the Ming Luo clan for burial. Now, Qing Dai had the same goal. She wanted to retrieve the Ming Luo puppets. If that was the case, Ning Fan was willing to give the puppets to her so that she could bring them back for burial. After all, Qing Dai was the real Ming Luo high priest while Ning Fan was just the Ming Luo tree sovereign in name. It would be more appropriate for Qin Dai to step forward. Let's go. Ning Fan kept the 5 sword spirits into his sword pouch. Then, he flicked his sleeve and displayed his void teleportation technique, bringing Qin Dai back to Guanhan City. Guanhan City, Guanhan City. 3 days had passed since Ning Fan accepted the mission. In the main hall of the royal palace, the king of Gomang, Tang Xiong, was sitting quietly on his throne with his eyes closed. A gentle breeze blew past. Suddenly, Ning Fan and Qin Dai appeared in the main hall. Tang Xiong opened his eyes and glanced at both of them. Then, he said with a smile, "Fellow Taoist Lu, have you completed the mission?" What Tang Xiong said was just a guess. He could tell that Ning Fan was not someone who spoke empty words. Since Ning Fan declared that he would take the mission for himself, he naturally had the confidence to kill the 2 tree kings. 3 days ago, Ning Fan accepted the mission and left. Since he returned today, it might be because something unexpected happened to the mission and he had something to discuss with me. Perhaps Ning Fan had already completed the mission and he came back this time to hand in the mission in exchange for the reward. Tang Xiong glanced at Ning Fan's expression. When he saw Ning Fan's calm smile, it did not seem like something unexpected happened to the mission. Thus, the first thing he asked was whether Ning Fan had completed the mission. Even though he asked that question, Tang Xiong was muttering inwardly. He did not dare to believe that Ning Fan could complete the mission within 3 days. Ning Fan saw through Tang Xiong's thoughts with just a glance and said with a faint smile. "Fortunately, I didn't fail you." As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out 2 primordial spirits that were sealed tightly. They were the primordial spirits of the 2 tree kings. Ning Fan's reply was only 4 words. However, when these 4 words fell into Tang Xiong's ears, the latter's eyes widened in shock. It confirmed his previous guess. The dispirited and listless appearance of the 2 primordial spirits made Tang Xiong's breath stagnate. Those were the primordial spirits of 2 origin returning realm cultivators. How could they be captured by Ning Fan so easily? In just 3 days, Ning Fan had actually killed 2 origin returning realm tree kings and completed the mission. Fellow Taoists' divine power is amazing. This old man is ashamed of his inferiority. I wonder how fellow Taoist killed the 2 tree kings. Tang Xiong stood up and exclaimed in admiration at Ning Fan. Is the process very important? Ning Fan revealed a faint smile. Haha. Fellow Taoist is right. The process is not important. What's important is the result. Fellow Taoist has captured the primordial spirits of the 2 tree kings. These primordial spirits naturally cannot be faked. If fellow Taoist completed this 5 stars mission alone, you will be rewarded with 10 Ming Luo puppets and 20 billion immortal jades. May I ask if fellow Taoist wants to claim the reward now? Yes. Ning Fan nodded. All right. If that's the case, fellow Taoist will follow me to the underground treasure vault of King City. All the mission rewards will be issued from there. The underground treasure vault of King City? Ning Fan asked in surprise. That's right. Since His Majesty the Bamboo Sovereign has issued a mission, he naturally needs to issue a corresponding reward. The total reward of all the missions is a considerable amount of wealth. It's enough to tempt void fragmentation realm old monsters. That treasure vault is guarded by the old ancestor of my Fusang clan. Without him, how can I guard such a large amount of heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures in the North Tree Sea which is surrounded by wolves with my current cultivation base? Tang Xiong explained while taking out a token. He activated it towards the throne and the throne immediately turned into a shadow and disappeared, revealing a dark underground tunnel that led straight to the underground of King City. Ning Fan scanned the area with his spirit sense. There were no restrictions in the underground. There was nothing wrong with it. He could enter. At the bottom of the underground tunnel, there was a massive treasure vault. A gigantic fusang tree was planted outside the vault. With Ning Fan's eyesight, he could naturally tell that the fusang tree was not a tree but a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm tree demon. This person must be the fusang old ancestor that Tang Xiong mentioned. He was in charge of guarding the treasure vault here. With this person around, no void fragmentation realm old monsters would dare to snatch the treasures in the vault no matter how great the rewards of the missions are. Are you fellow Taoist Lu who has completed the 5 stars mission? He. Fellow Taoist is so young. Your bone age is less than 900 years old, but you could actually kill 2 primordial void stage experts by yourself. When I was at your age, I was just a divine transformation realm cultivator. Sigh. I'm ashamed. Outside the underground treasure vault, the gigantic fusang tree flashed with light and turned into an elderly man in black robes. The elderly man's eyes were as deep as the ocean. His gaze met Ning Fan's even though they were 1 million zhang underground. I'm the old ancestor of the Fusang clan. People call me Old Demon Fusang. Fellow Taoist Lu, please come to the underground for a chat. I have something to ask of you. The elderly man in black robes suddenly cupped his fists towards the ground and transmitted his voice to Ning Fan. His expression actually carried a hint of pleading, Old Demon Fusang. Could it be that this senior is the 8th elder of the bamboo palace of the 8 elders of the bamboo forest, in the eastern tree sea? Qing Dai's spirit sense was not weak. Naturally, she had also sensed the commotion underground. When she heard the words of the elderly man in black robes, she actually wore a shocked expression. The 8 elders of the bamboo forest were the 8 void fragmentation realm elders who guarded the bamboo palace of the eastern tree sea. Each of them had an extremely respectable status. How could someone with such a high status be so polite to Ning Fan? Moreover, the first thing he said was that he had something to ask of Ning Fan. Qing Dai was a little surprised. She had never thought that Ning Fan was strong enough to make a void fragmentation realm expert treat him with respect. Ning Fan frowned slightly. He scanned the elderly man in black robes underground with his spirit sense and seemed to have understood something. Does Senior have something to ask of me? If that's what you want, I'm afraid I can't help you with anything. Chapter 573. Tang Xiong transformed into a streak of light and flew underground. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with contemplation. Moments later, he flicked his sleeve and disappeared from the palace with Qing Dai. In the next moment, the two of them appeared outside the treasury that was 3 million meters underground. The underground was extremely spacious, and there was a huge treasury there. The protective formation light of the treasury was not activated. Perhaps it was because old monster Fusang was here and there was no need to activate it. At this moment, Gomang monarch Tang Xiong was standing respectfully behind old monster Fusang. He had the attitude of a junior and no longer had the arrogance of a monarch. Old demon Fusang was dressed in a black robe. He stood with his hands behind his back. His white hair reached the ground, and his white eyebrows were white without a beard. His eyes narrowed and met with Ning Fan's gaze. Then, he quietly released his aura, covering the entire underground space. That was the aura force of a void fragmentation realm expert. All cultivators below the void fragmentation realm are ants. Ning Fan did not avoid old demon Fu Sang's gaze at all. Instead, he looked him in the eye. An invisible aura spread out between the two of them. Tang Xiong was a great void stage cultivator, but under the pressure of the two's auras, he felt suffocated. After taking a few steps back, he felt that his breathing had become smoother. Qing Dai was just a void glimpse stage cultivator. How could she withstand the aura force of a void fragmentation realm expert? Her hands trembled slightly. This was the first time she felt the aura force of a void fragmentation realm old monster at such a close distance, very strong, terrifyingly strong. In front of a void fragmentation cultivator, she was just an ant that couldn't even breathe. In his dantian, the medicine soul was shivering. Within his head, his sea of consciousness was trembling and on the verge of collapse. She felt that it was getting harder and harder to breathe. She was almost blown away by old monster Fusang's aura. However, she had always been stubborn. She refused to yield in front of a void fragmentation realm old monster. She was not willing to retreat like Tang Xiong. We mustn't be afraid. My Ming Luo clan still has a void fragmentation realm enemy. His name is Wan Changkong and he is the strongest puppet master in the tree world. One day, I will represent the Ming Luo clan to take revenge on that Wan Changkong. If I'm afraid of the void fragmentation aura here, what qualifications do I have to stand in front of Wan Changkong? I can't be afraid. Qing Dai bit her lips and tried hard to suppress the panic in her heart. Her face gradually turned pale, as if her lungs were injured by the momentum. Even so, she did not want to retreat or escape. Being weak wasn't scary. What was scary was not having the determination to defeat the strong. Just as her demon soul was about to be injured by the void fragmentation realm aura force, a gentle voice entered her ears. Then, the void fragmentation realm aura force that oppressed her to the point where she found it hard to breathe slowly dissipated. Don't be afraid. Ning Fan turned around and smiled. He gently flicked his sleeves and clenched his 5 fingers, crushing the aura force that was suppressing Qing Dai. With Ning Fan's protection, Qing Dai's discomfort gradually disappeared. She said to Ning Fan with half gratitude and half apology. I'm sorry, it's all because of me. She knew that Ning Fan was secretly competing with old demon Fusang in terms of aura force. She knew that because she refused to retreat, Ning Fan had no choice but to protect her. However, because Ning Fan took the initiative to attack, he was at a disadvantage in this battle of aura. Qing Dai blamed herself very much. If she had obediently retreated a little, Ning Fan would not have lost because of her. It's just a small matter, don't worry about it. Ning Fan smiled disapprovingly. He turned around and looked at old demon Fusang again. To him, a victory or defeat that did not matter much was not worth worrying about. Little girl, you're not bad. Your aptitude might not be the best, but it's very commendable that you have a Tao heart that is not afraid of strong opponents. I didn't expect that the Ming Luo clan could still have such a descendant. It's really rare. More than 100,000 years ago, I was just a void-pierced stage cultivator. I could be considered as a good friend of the high priest of the Ming Luo clan. You're also considered as my junior. This jade slip was obtained by me in the past. Now, I'm giving it to you as a return to its rightful owner. Old demon Fusang chuckled and gave Qing Dai a satisfied smile. He reached his hand into his sleeve and took out a damaged jade slip. He flicked his finger and tossed it to Qing Dai. Ning Fan waved his hand and stopped the jade slip on Qing Dai's behalf. He scanned the contents of the jade slip with his spirit sense and revealed a strange expression. Then, he passed the jade slip to Qing Dai. This is a gift from Senior Fusang. Just accept it. Oh. Qing Dai nodded obediently. She received the jade slip and scanned it with her spirit sense. At first, she did not show any reaction. However, the more she read the contents of the jade slip, the more surprised she became. In the end, she actually bowed to old demon Fusang with gratitude. Thank you for giving me this jade slip, Senior. This jade slip recorded dozens of lost secret techniques of the Ming Luo clan. Old demon Fusang obtained them from the Ming Luo clan when he was young. At that time, he was the clan leader of the Ming Luo clan and had a good relationship with the Ming Luo clan. Both clans had given each other many secret techniques. During the calamity 10,000 years ago, not only did the experts of the Ming Luo clan die, but many of the clan's secret technique jade slips were also destroyed. Many of the secret techniques were lost. The jade slip that old demon Fusang gave to Qing Dai was extremely significant to the Ming Luo clan. Qing Dai was naturally very grateful. Hee hee. You're welcome. The Ming Luo clan and the Ming Luo clan have been on good terms for generations. It's only natural for them to return the secret techniques. What he said was just for show. Perhaps when the Ming Luo clan was at its peak, the two clans were indeed on good terms. However, as the Ming Luo clan declined, the Ming Luo clan no longer maintained a good relationship with them. Otherwise, why would Tang Xiong use the 10 Ming Luo puppets as the reward for the mission? Why didn't he directly return the puppets to the Ming Luo clan? Otherwise, why didn't old demon Fusang return the jade slip earlier or later? Why did he only return the jade slip after Ning Fan appeared? Ning Fan, of course, would not be intimidated by such polite words. He could tell that the reason why old demon Fusang showed goodwill to Qing Dai and the Ming Luo clan was actually because of him. Old demon Fusang has a favor to ask of me. Ning Fan thought to himself. It was human nature to flatter the strong and belittle the weak. There was nothing wrong with the Ming Luo clan not continuing to maintain a good relationship with the Ming Luo clan when the Ming Luo clan declined. In the cultivation world, the relationship between two clans was simply a matter of interests. If the forces of the two clans were not on the same level, they naturally would not have any interactions. Ning Fan did not have any prejudice against old demon Fusang. He was just very curious about what exactly the old demon needed his help with. If it's really what he guessed, he certainly could not help him. Fellow Taoist Lu killed 2 Guiyuan tree kings on your own. Such strength really surprised me. I heard from Tang Xiong that your baleful qi is extremely terrifying. Moreover, Tang Xiong felt that you have killed void fragmentation realm cultivators before. Hee hee. I wonder if I have the honor to witness your baleful qi. Old demon Fusang's tone was very polite. Ning Fan thought to himself. It was impossible for a void fragmentation realm old monster to show goodwill to a void refinement realm cultivator for no reason. The reason why old demon Fusang was so polite to him was probably because he heard about Ning Fan's monstrous baleful qi from Tang Xiong. After that, when he saw that Ning Fan had really killed 2 tree kings and returned, he started to respect him and treated him as a peer. Moreover, he had something to ask of him. Ning Fan could not figure out old demon Fusang's thoughts. Thus, he avoided the topic of baleful qi and said with a smile, "Senior, you don't look too good." As soon as he heard Ning Fan's words, old demon Fusang's expression suddenly changed. Then, he revealed a bitter smile. "Fellow Taoist, you have a good eyesight. I'm sure you can tell that I don't have long to live. That's why I have something to ask of you. I can't help you with this matter. Life and death are determined by fate. It can't be forced." Ning Fan shook his head and said. "This is not what I'm asking for." Old demon Fusang originally did not plan to ask Ning Fan for help with this matter. However, when he heard Ning Fan say, "Life and death are determined by fate," he still felt a little sad and sorrowful. Qing Dai wore a puzzled look. She did not know what the two of them were talking about. Tang Xiong, on the other hand, knew what the two of them were talking about. However, he did not interrupt them. "Oh. I wonder what Senior Fusang wants my help with. If it's within my capabilities, I can help you." Ning Fan was greatly surprised. He could tell that old demon Fusang was already a person who was on the verge of death. The reason why he was on the verge of death was because his lifespan had reached its end. Old demon Fusang's bone age had already exceeded 110,000 years. It had long surpassed the upper limit of a void fragmentation realm cultivator's bone age. 100,000 years ago, old demon Fusang was already a void pierce stage cultivator. 100,000 years later, he was already at the end of his lifespan. However, his cultivation base was still at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. He no longer had the chance to become an immortal in this lifetime. At first, Ning Fan thought that what old demon Fusang wanted was related to extending his lifespan. That was why he said that he could not help him. Obviously, old demon Fusang had already consumed all the heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures that could extend his lifespan. His lifespan could no longer be prolonged. According to Ning Fan's estimation, old demon Fusang would definitely die after 10 years. Since old demon Fusang did not want to extend his lifespan, Ning Fan wondered what he wanted. Sigh. The thing that I want is not a difficult thing for fellow Taoist. Moreover, it will be quite beneficial to fellow Taoist. Tang Xiong, go to the treasure vault and take out fellow Taoist Lu's reward. Old demon Fusang asked Tang Xiong to take out the reward halfway through his sentence. It was obvious that he wanted to send Tang Xiong away. He did not want Tang Xiong to hear what he wanted to say after that. Ning Fan understood his intention and smiled at Qing Dai. You go back to the palace first. I have something to discuss with Senior Fusang here. Qing Dai was not stupid. She knew that the matter that the two of them were talking about must be extremely important. She nodded obediently and returned to the palace on the ground alone. However, before she left, she secretly transmitted her voice to Ning Fan and reminded him. Be careful. Don't anger Senior Fusang. Qing Dai was worried that Ning Fan would be too arrogant and say something that would anger old demon Fusang and get hurt by him. After all, when Ning Fan was competing for the mission, he acted like an emperor and did not allow anyone to take away his mission. It left a bad impression on Qing Dai. In Qing Dai's impression, Ning Fan sometimes liked to stir up trouble. Ning Fan could not help but chuckle and shake his head. He did not expect that Qing Dai would care about him and worry that he would be hurt by old demon Fusang. To be honest, when Ning Fan first saw old demon Fusang, he was not afraid of him at all, even though he was a void fragmentation realm cultivator. Old demon Fusang only had 10 years of lifespan left. If he dares to attack Ning Fan would only need to use the mutual death technique and sacrifice 100 years of his lifespan to take away all the remaining lifespan of old demon Fusang, killing him on the spot. His safety was not a problem. What he was more concerned about was what old demon Fusang wanted to say next. I have a request and I hope fellow Taoist can agree to it. After the unrelated people left, old demon Fusang suddenly cupped his fists and pleaded to Ning Fan seriously. In his entire life, he had been unscrupulous and killed people like scything flax. He had never asked anyone for help. If it was not related to the rise and fall of the Fusang clan, he would never lower his head to a junior. Senior, tell me about your request first. Ning Fan naturally would not agree to it without understanding the ins and outs of the matter. Old demon Fusang sighed deeply and said with a bitter smile, fellow Taoist, how many years do you think I can live? 10 years at most. That's right. I only have 10 years left. After 10 years, I will definitely die. This is fate and it cannot be forced. I'm not afraid of death. I'm just afraid that after I die, the Fusang clan will gradually decline. Senior, you must be joking. Even after you pass away, the Fusang clan will still be a large clan in the tree world. Fellow Taoist Tang Xiong is the current clan leader of the Fusang clan. He is a dignified absolute void stage cultivator. How can a clan that has an absolute void stage cultivator decline? Ning Fan shook his head disapprovingly. The reason why the Ming Luo clan declined was because all the void refinement realm cultivators in the clan died during the calamity 10,000 years ago. The Fusang clan had an absolute void stage cultivator. Even if their void fragmentation realm old ancestor passes away, they would still be a large clan in the tree world. How could they decline? Fellow Taoist, you might not know this. Do you know what is my identity in the bamboo palace of the Eastern Tree Sea? I heard that Senior is one of the 8 elders of the bamboo forest in the Eastern Tree Sea. You're the 8th elder of the bamboo palace. Ning Fan answered. That's right. I'm the 8th elder of the bamboo palace. I'm a subordinate of the bamboo sovereign. The branch of the bamboo palace that I'm in charge of is called the evil bamboo palace. My lifespan is coming to an end. Before I die, I want to recommend you to the Bamboo Sovereign and let you become the 8th Elder of the Bamboo Palace. What do you think? Senior, you must be joking. The Elders of the Bamboo Palace are all Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators. How can I become one of the 8 Elders of the Bamboo Forest? Just as Ning Fan was about to decline the offer, he was interrupted by old demon Fusang. I heard that fellow Daoist is purchasing the divine tree fruits. I suppose it's to improve your intent realm cultivation base. Old demon Fusang suddenly changed the topic. Oh. Senior's information network is really fast. Ning Fan was stunned for a moment and then understood. Whatever he had bought in Bai City, he would not be able to hide it from old demon Fusang. Fellow Daoist Lu, may I ask what grade your intent realm is at? If the last 7 grades are enough, this old man won't say anything more. If fellow Daoist is pursuing 2nd grade or even 1st grade, then you must consider this old man's suggestion. I intend to recommend you as the 8th Elder of the Bamboo Hall. If fellow Daoist can really pass the Bamboo Emperor's test and become the 8th Elder of the Bamboo Palace, fellow Daoist will receive a great benefit. Becoming the 8th Elder of the Bamboo Palace, you will receive many rewards, including 10 ancestral tree fruits. My Eastern Forest Sea is rich in tree god fruit. The tree god fruit has the medicinal effect of raising one's intent level, but it can only raise a cultivator's intent level to the 3rd grade. After one's concepts reach the 3rd grade, consuming the tree god fruit is useless. Only by consuming the tree ancestor fruit can one increase their concepts' cultivation. If fellow Daoist's comprehension realm reaches the 3rd grade, then after eating 10 ancestral tree fruits, your comprehension realm will break through to the 2nd grade. Ning Fan's expression was as calm as still water, but his heart was slightly moved. The tree ancestor fruit. If he wants to break through to the 1st grade of rain intent, this item is definitely a must. However, must he become the 8th Elder of the Bamboo Palace in order to obtain the tree ancestor fruit? Chapter 574. At first, Ning Fan was moved. Then, his eyes gradually calmed down as if nothing had happened. With old demon Fu Sang's sharp eyes, he naturally noticed the subtle changes in Ning Fan's expression. He shook his head and sighed. Fellow Daoist, are you unwilling to be the 8th Elder of the Bamboo Hall? Why? May I ask Senior Fusang, why are you so insistent on making me the 8th Elder of the Bamboo Palace? Ning Fan did not answer his question but asked a question instead. Old Monster Fusang sighed and explained. Fellow Daoist should know that this old man is the 8th Elder of Bamboo Palace. I will die of old age in 10 years. Naturally, this 8th Elder will have to be replaced. According to the rules of Bamboo Palace, the successor of an elder needs to be recommended by all the elders. After that, an assessment will be set up among the candidates and one of them will be chosen. To be honest, fellow Daoist, other than recommending fellow Daoist to take over the position of the 8th Elder, I have also recommended 2 other people. Both of them are at the origin returning Great Void Realm and have a good relationship with the Fusang clan. I didn't recommend Tang Xiong even though he is a Great Void cultivator. That's because an ordinary Great Void stage cultivator would never be able to fight for the position of the 8th Elder. I heard that your baleful aura was astonishing, so I guessed that your abilities were definitely not weak. Then, I heard that you killed 2 Guiyuan Great Void stage cultivators by yourself and completed the 5 stars mission. I immediately decided to give the last recommendation spot to you. Normally, only Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators could complete a 5-star mission. Fellow Daoist, there's no doubt about your strength since you were able to complete the 5-star mission and kill Guiyuan Taishu by yourself. Fellow Daoist, do you know how great the benefits of becoming the 8th Elder are? Back then, when I became the 8th Elder, I was only a Guiyuan Taishu. After I became the 8th Elder, I received the full support of the Bamboo Hall. 1,000 years later, I successfully broke through to the Void Fragmentation Realm. With fellow Daoist's innate potential, if you succeed the position of the 8th elder, you will certainly receive the bamboo sovereign's full nurturing. In less than a few thousand years, you will certainly become another void fragmentation realm expert. With such great benefits, why aren't you willing to succeed as the 8th elder? Ning Fan did not say a word. He just shook his head and chuckled. Old Demon Fu Sang was puzzled. After a while, Ning Fan suddenly retracted his smile and said solemnly, "The reason why Senior wants me to inherit the position of the 8th elder is exactly the reason why I am unwilling to do so." Old Monster Fusang was stunned and smiled bitterly. Among the candidates recommended by the other elders this time, one of them is only a step away from breaking through to the void fragmentation realm. He is known as the #1 expert below the void fragmentation realm, in the Eastern Tree Sea. This person has the highest possibility of winning the position of the 8th elder. He is the patriarch of the Bailey clan. Our Fu Sang clan and the Bailey clan have a feud that will never end until one of us dies. Old Monster Fusang did not say anything else. Obviously, the reason why Old Demon Fu Sang hoped that Ning Fan would seize the position of the 8th elder was because he did not want the position to be taken away by the clan leader of the Bailey clan. If clan leader Bailey becomes the new 8th elder of the Bamboo Palace, he would certainly be able to attain the void fragmentation realm one day. The day when the Bailey clan gives birth to a void fragmentation realm expert would be the day when the Fusang clan declines. The two clans had a feud that would never end until one of them perished. At that time, the Fusang clan would certainly do their best to suppress the Fusang clan. Old Monster Fusang was not far from death. He did not care about his own life and death. He only hoped that his family would not decline after his death. It would be fine if the candidate he recommended did not manage to obtain the position of an elder, but if he did, he would definitely offend the Bailey clan. It was fine if he offended the Bailey clan. After all, the current Bailey clan had yet to have a void fragmentation realm expert. However, one must know that the elder who recommended the clan leader of the Bailey clan to become an elder must have a close relationship with the Bailey clan. Offending the Bailey clan would also mean offending a void fragmentation realm elder whose cultivation base was unknown. The reason why Ning Fan was unwilling to get involved in the matters of the Fusang clan was just because he did not want to get into trouble. The position of the 8th elder could not tempt him because he would not stay in the tree world for too long. The Bamboo Palace's wholehearted nurturing was not attractive to him at all. As for one of the benefits of becoming the 8th elder, the ancestral tree fruit. Since this fruit was given to the new 8th elder by the Bamboo Palace, it naturally belonged to the Bamboo Palace. There must be a lot of ancestral tree fruits in the Bamboo Palace. With Ning Fan's means, he would definitely have a way to trade with the Bamboo Palace and get some ancestral tree fruits. There was no need for him to get into trouble and become the 8th elder. Ning Fan did not make it clear, but Old Demon Fu Sang had already guessed his intention. Forget it. Since fellow Taoist is unwilling to get involved in this trouble, just pretend that I have never mentioned this. I will give the third recommendation to Tang Xiong so that he can compete for the position of the 8th elder. As for the result, it will all depend on the heaven's will. It cannot be forced. Old Demon Fu Sang could not help but sigh. With his identity, it was already very rare for him to make a request to Ning Fan. If Ning Fan insisted on not following his request, he would not force him nor pester him. After all, he was a dignified void fragmentation realm old monster. He had his own dignity. Old Demon Fu Sang's lips moved but no sound was heard. He transmitted a few words to someone far away. After 10 breaths, Tang Xiong came out from the treasure vault with a storage pouch in his hand. Obviously, he only dared to come out after receiving the message from the two of them. These are 10 Ming Luo puppets and 20 billion immortal jade. They are fellow Taoists' reward for completing the task. Why don't you check them and see if there are any mistakes? There is also a jade slip in the storage pouch. It is the jade slip of the realm passage to the realm gate of the Valley of Tang. You can use this jade slip to open the realm gate. Ning Fan took the storage pouch from Tang Xiong's hand and scanned it with his spirit sense. After confirming that there were no mistakes, he cupped his fists towards old demon Fu Sang and Tang Xiong. Farewell. Ning Fan turned around and was about to leave, but he was stopped by old demon Fu Sang. Fellow Taoist, please wait. What is it? I have some things here that I want to give to fellow Taoist. I want to form a good relationship with you. These things should be of some help to fellow Taoist. Old demon Fu Sang handed Ning Fan a storage pouch. Ning Fan scanned it with his spirit sense and found out that there were 10 billion immortal jade, 1,000 tree god fruits and the maps of the 3 seas of trees in the east, south and west. Other than that, there were also many rare spiritual ores and spiritual wood in the storage pouch. All of them were items that could be used to forge and repair puppets. Ning Fan fell into deep thought. It seems like old demon Fu Sang had investigated him thoroughly. From the things he bought in Bai City, he guessed that he wanted to repair his spiritual puppets. Indeed, the things that old demon Fu Sang gave Ning Fan were what he needed. Ning Fan also knew what it meant to accept this storage pouch. Fine. I will accept these things. If the Fusang clan is in trouble in the future, I will certainly lend a hand if it's within my capabilities. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he kept the storage pouch and bid farewell with his fists cupped. Accepting this storage pouch meant that he had accepted old demon Fu Sang's goodwill. With Ning Fan's personality, he would not accept someone's kindness for no reason. If he sees that the Fusang clan is in trouble in the future, it would be unavoidable for him to lend a hand. Old demon Fu Sang had a very accurate grasp of Ning Fan's personality. Seeing that Ning Fan had seen through his intentions and even made a promise to him, old demon Fu Sang wore a gratified expression. However, after Ning Fan left, he let out a long sigh. Old ancestor, why did you sigh? Tang Xiong asked in confusion. It's a pity. This Liu Bei has hidden his strength very well. If this kid accepts this old man's recommendation and obtains this old man's help, the chance of him seizing the position of the 8th elder will definitely not be small. Although he didn't reveal a trace of killing intent from the beginning to the end, this old man could still sense a trace of extreme danger from him. In front of him, this old man actually had an absurd illusion. If this kid had a disagreement with me just now, this kid would have the ability to kill this old man instantly. This feeling is so absurd, but it feels so real. What? This Liu Bei actually has a way to kill old ancestor instantly. This. Tang Xiong knew that old ancestor was never lying. Perhaps Ning Fan really had a way to kill old demon Fu Sang instantly. If this is really the case, isn't Ning Fan a little too scary? Ning Fan returned to the royal palace. With a flick of his sleeve, he displayed the void teleportation technique and disappeared from Bai City with Qing Dai. He traveled all the way to the east, passing through the Valley of Tang and headed towards the border of Gomang country, the realm gate of the Valley of Tang. Ning Fan did not regret rejecting old demon Fu Sang's suggestion. He had his own matters to attend to. It was impossible for him to get involved in other people's troubles. It was already his limit to lend a helping hand when the Fu Sang clan was in trouble. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Ning Fan stopped and landed outside the realm gate of the Valley of Tang. This was the border between the northern forest sea and the eastern forest sea. A dark purple wall of light separated the two great forests from the middle. The bottom of the wall of light reached the netherworld underground and the top of the dome of heaven. It did not leave any gap for people to pass through. That dark purple light was the realm-breaking light. Even rogue immortals would only end up dead if they accidentally enter the realm-breaking light. On the wall of light was a 10,000 zhang tall door. The door was equipped with layers of restrictive formations. The formations themselves were not powerful, but they were closely connected to the realm-breaking light. Once someone trespasses the door, they would be attacked by the realm-breaking light. Those who are below the immortal realm will certainly die. Ning Fan took out the storage pouch that he had obtained from the mission and took out the realm passage's rain world. Then, he transferred 20 billion immortal jade to the storage pouch hanging on his waist. There were only 10 void glimpse stage Ming Luo puppets left in this storage pouch. They were refined from the corpses of 10 void refinement realm old ancestors of the Ming Luo clan 10,000 years ago. Ning Fan passed the storage pouch to Qing Dai without saying anything. Qing Dai received the storage pouch. After taking a glance at it, her face immediately lit up with surprise. She said to Ning Fan gratefully, "Thank you, you're welcome. If I have something to ask of you in the future, just don't refuse me." Ning Fan said with a smile. Qing Dai nodded and replied, "Let's go." Ning Fan pressed the jade slip on the path of Broken World. A ray of purple light suddenly flew out from the slip and went into the giant door. The giant door shook violently and a small gap was opened. The ground trembled violently, raising a large amount of smoke and dust. At the moment when a small gap appeared on the giant door, Ning Fan flicked his sleeve. Together with Qing Dai, they turned into traces of smoke and drifted into the realm gate. As the traveling light faded, the two of them landed on a dark purple path of light. It was the realm gate that led to the Eastern Tree Sea. After the two of them entered the realm gate, the giant door slowly closed. Follow this realm gate all the way. There is a teleportation formation at the end of the realm gate. It can teleport you to the boundary of the Eastern Tree Sea. It was not Qing Dai's first time passing through the realm gate. You go first. I still have something to deal with. Ning Fan suddenly halted his footsteps. With a frown, he stopped walking on the realm gate. You have something to deal with? Then hurry up. I will wait for you at the Eastern Tree Sea. Qing Dai was stunned. She did not know what Ning Fan meant. Her eyes were filled with confusion. She continued to walk forward and entered the teleportation formation at the end of the realm gate. After Qing Dai left, Ning Fan suddenly turned around and his cold eyes swept across the area behind him. Are you still not going to come out? Do all the members of the Vine Sovereign like to hide like this? As soon as Ning Fan spoke, a disdainful laughter resounded in the empty place. Hiding the head and showing the tail. You're just a void inquiry stage cultivator. Do you think you're worthy of me hiding and scheming against you? I just don't want to kill you on the realm gate. Amidst the laughter, a lady with waist-length hair and pink robes appeared on the realm gate. Her eyes were beautiful but they were filled with cold killing intent. There was a pink sword pouch tied around her waist. Her body was surrounded by traces of sword intent. The sword intent intertwined with each other like vines and grew endlessly. It was the pure vine with sword intent. Her aura force was like the heavens. The void where she stood trembled slightly. She was a sword cultivator at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. I am the palace lord of the Vine Sovereign's Purple Vine Palace. Ting Xianro. Today, I came here to kill you. Lu Bei, Dai. A sword cultivator, or a woman. Ning Fan's lips curled into a mocking smile. He had already expected that the subordinates of the Vine Sovereign would not let him go so easily. He was afraid that they would ambush him at the 6 great realm gates. However, he did not expect that he would be ambushed by a void fragmentation realm female sword cultivator. How was this an ambush? It was clearly a huge gift. A void fragmentation realm cauldron that was delivered to his doorstep. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.